The story begins inside a laboratory where we see a young man working alone. Behind him, a phone call is playing. On the screen, the contact name reads Ran. A girl's voice is calling someone named Chan, sounding worried and emotional. In the next scene, we see the same young man at a stationery shop. He buys a pen and asks the shopkeeper to engrave the name Haran on it. The scene cuts, and we now see that same pen in the hands of our heroine, Song Haran. She is extremely happy because a design she submitted to her company has just won first place. Excitedly, she tells a hoodie-wearing guy about it. She says that the signature engraved on the pen he gave her inspired her design. The company loved it, and she became the winner. Song thanks him warmly and calls him her savior. Later, we see the young man standing alone in a college-like place. He is remembering something Song once told him. She had said that she loves the smell that comes from the soil just before it rains, that fresh, earthy scent when rain first touches the ground. At that time, he had started explaining scientifically why that smell happens. But Song had stopped him, saying, "You started again. You always ruin my mood with your science explanations." He just gave a small smile. Song had also told him that he should try enjoying the rain like that at least once. So later, we see him standing outside in the rain, actually trying it. Slowly, he begins to smile. For the first time, he understands what she meant. After that, we also see him drawing her and looking happy while doing it. Meanwhile, Song is at her office, staring at an airplane in the sky. She softly says she wishes she could meet the moon. A girl nearby teases her, saying, "You mean your boyfriend? The one studying in Boston?" Another woman named Eun Chai joins the conversation and says that he is usually busy. Someone asks Eun Chai how she knows Song's boyfriend. She casually replies, "Because he's my younger brother." Everyone bursts into laughter, and Song shyly lowers her head. It turns out Eun Chai is their manager. She then announces that everyone will get 4 days off from work. Song becomes extremely happy. She immediately decides that she will go to Boston to meet her boyfriend, Chan. She records a sweet video and sends it to him, saying that she is coming to Boston to surprise him. Soon, Song arrives in Boston and gets into a taxi to meet Chan. On the other hand, Chan watches her video message. The moment he realizes she is coming, he suddenly starts running somewhere urgently. He reaches a building and opens a gate. But the moment the gate opens, boom, a massive explosion happens. Everything is destroyed in seconds, and Chan is thrown far away by the blast. At the same time, Song arrives at the college campus. The explosion had happened just moments before she reached there. People are running toward the accident site in panic. Suddenly, Song receives a phone call. It is from Chan's sister, Eun Chai. With a trembling voice, she tells Song that Chan is dead. We see many injured people lying around after the explosion. Among them, we also see Chan, badly hurt and unconscious. And this tragic moment changes everything. Then the story moves forward. 7 years later, we now see a beautiful model at a photo shoot. Many photographers are clicking pictures. The atmosphere looks professional and busy. Suddenly, the boss arrives. Her name is Kim Bong. She confidently instructs everyone on how to take proper photos of the models and how to style them correctly. Everyone listens carefully. After she finishes speaking, the staff starts clapping for her. But Kim Bong stops them and says, "You shouldn't clap for me. You should clap for the person who is truly in charge of everything here." And that person is none other than Song Haran. Song is the main designer and the real head behind all the creative work. However, she is not present there. Most of the staff members whisper that she is always missing and rarely shows up. Here, one girl apologizes on her behalf, saying she might not be able to come today. We then learn that this girl is Song's younger sister, Young. The scene cuts to Song. We see her standing alone on top of a tall building. She is wearing earphones and listening to something. She looks distant and lost in her thoughts. As always, she stares at an airplane flying across the sky. The moment she sees it, her eyes slowly fill with emotion. It reminds her of the past of Chan. Then, the scene shifts to Korea's airport. There, we meet an American man named Ben. He looks confused because his friend has suddenly disappeared. He keeps asking, "Where did he go?" At the same time, we see that missing friend happily taking photos with random people at the airport. He is very friendly and cheerful. And this man looks exactly like Chan. But now, People call him Woojin. He later joins Ben in the car. While sitting near the window, he stretches his hand outside. We notice that his hand is badly burned. The scars are still visible. Soon, they arrive for a meeting with a man named Mr. Yoon. Meanwhile, back at Song's office, the staff is working as usual, but Song is missing again. Yang sighs and says, like always, she disappeared again. No one even knows where she is. The scene changes to a quiet cafe. There, we see Song sitting alone, drawing in her sketchbook. She looks peaceful but distant. On the other hand, Woojin is now enjoying his time in Korea. He keeps sending photos to Ben. While taking pictures of some flowers, he suddenly notices one flower break and fall to the ground. For a moment, he just stares at it quietly. Back in the cafe, the owner, Mr. Park, brings Song her coffee. He also gives her a card for a painting exhibition and tells her, "You should go and see this. It might inspire you." In the next scene, we see Woojin at that same painting exhibition. He is calmly looking at the artwork displayed on the walls. Suddenly, he notices a woman standing in front of a painting. He slowly walks and stands beside her. When he finally sees her face clearly, he freezes. It is Song Ha-ran. His eyes widen. He looks shocked and emotional at the same time. It feels like the past has suddenly come back to life. But when he turns slightly and looks around, she is already gone. Woojin quickly begins following her outside. At that moment, Song is looking at the exhibition card again while walking. Nearby, construction work is going on. Workers are lifting heavy pipes above. Suddenly, some large pipes start falling from above. Just as the heavy pipes are about to fall on Song, Woojin loudly shouts her name from behind. Because of that sudden voice, she stops walking. The construction materials fall right in front of her, not on her. She is saved. Song quickly turns around to see who called her name. But strangely, no one is there. Later at home, she keeps staring at the exhibition card and thinks deeply. Who is that person who called me? The next day, we see Woojin again. He is presenting his animated characters to Kim Bong and her team. Several staff members are also present in the room. Woojin confidently explains the concept and background of his character designs, but Kim Bong shows no reaction at all. Then Woojin presents one of her old projects and says that he personally went to France to present her very first project live. Hearing this, Kim Bong finally agrees to work with him. Woojin becomes extremely happy. Excitedly, he moves closer to her to take a selfie. The staff members try to stop him, telling him to keep his distance. But surprisingly, Kim Bong allows him to take the selfie. Everyone in the room is shocked. It is the first time she has shown such a soft side. After that, Woojin says he will go downstairs to get some of his belongings and will be back soon. Meanwhile, Kim Bong looks at his animation character again on the tablet. She notices that the face of the character looks familiar, like someone she knows. Downstairs, Woojin picks up a pen drive and walks into the gallery area. Suddenly, he notices a pen placed on a table. As soon as he picks it up, he freezes. Standing right in front of him is Song. And that pen is the same pen he had given her years ago. At the same time, Kim Bong upstairs is saying that the character's face looks similar to Song. Here, Woojin completely pauses. He cannot move. Song calmly asks him, "Are you here for the collaboration?" He softly replies, "Yes." Song introduces herself properly and says, "Nice to meet you. I'm Song Ha-ran." But Woojin just keeps staring at her, unable to speak. After a few seconds, Song leaves. We then see Woojin in the restroom, trying to calm himself down. There, he learns that Song is the lead designer of this company. Soon, he returns to the meeting room. Song also walks in. Kim Bong introduces them formally. "This is your lead designer. You will be working with her. Her name is Song." Then Kim Bong asks Woojin, "The face of your character, who is it based on? Does it resemble someone?" Woojin quickly replies, "No, I just created it from my imagination." At that moment, Yang speaks up and says, "The face looks exactly like my sister." Hearing this, Woojin gets so nervous that he accidentally spills coffee all over himself. Kim Bong tells someone to give him a new shirt, and the meeting ends there. After that, outside, we see Song sitting alone. An employee comes and hands her a shirt, saying, "Please give this to him." At the same time, we see Woojin inside a room, removing his stained shirt. Song walks toward the changing room to give Woojin his new shirt. He stands near the door, and she accidentally pushes it open. Because of that, Woojin falls slightly forward, and at that moment, he is not wearing anything on his upper body. Song freezes. His chest is exposed, and we clearly see a large scar and a tattoo on it. For a second, both of them are shocked and embarrassed. Without saying anything, they quickly move away and go into separate rooms. In the next scene, we see Woo Jin with Ben. Woo Jin suddenly says, "I can't work on this project. I'm leaving." Ben looks confused and upset. "You never act like this. What's wrong with you?" Woo Jin doesn't answer properly. Ben gets angry and walks away. Later, Ben returns to the room and doesn't see Woo Jin's belongings. He thinks Woo Jin has already left. Just then, Ben receives a call from his boss asking how the meeting went. Ben is about to say something about Woo Jin, but suddenly, Woo Jin comes out of the restroom, smiling and talking cheerfully in front of the boss, as if nothing happened. Ben looks confused. After that, Ben leaves to get some food. Inside, we hear Woo Jin whisper to himself, "I just need to survive 3 months. I can handle it." Meanwhile, we see someone secretly following Song and taking pictures of her. The scene shifts to Kim Bong's house. Her granddaughter, Se-jin, comes in happily and shows her top grades. She ranked first. After that, she goes upstairs. Soon, Song arrives home too. Kim Bong asks her, "Where were you?" But Song avoids answering and goes straight to her room. Here, we come to know that Kim Bong is actually their grandmother and also their boss. Kim Bong follows her and says she wants to talk. She suggests that Song should meet a photographer Yoon for dating because he is a very good person. But Song calmly replies, "I'm not interested in dating." She refuses and closes the conversation. Later that night, Kim Bong is seen looking at an old book, lost in thought. The next morning, Kim Bong is sitting in the living room. Young comes downstairs while exercising. The television is on, and the news is showing the construction accident, the same one where Song was almost hit by falling pipes. Before Kim Bong can see it clearly, Young quickly turns the TV off. Young then goes to Song's room. She tells her sister, "You should watch where you're walking." The news had mentioned that someone saved the girl by shouting her name from behind, but the man's face was not shown. Both sisters remember that the clothes described in the news looked exactly like what Woo Jin was wearing in the meeting. Young says, "How did he know your name? You two just met at the meeting." Song tries to stay calm and says, "Anyone could wear similar clothes." The next day at the office, Song goes to try on some outfits for work. There, she finds Woo Jin's shirt. She picks it up and says, "This is the animator's shirt." She looks at the shirt carefully and then looks at a photo as well, thinking deeply. Song keeps looking at the shirt carefully and says, "This is the same shirt he was wearing that day." Suddenly, she finds something inside the shirt pocket. It is the exhibition card. Now she understands everything. The day she went to the exhibition was the same day of the construction accident. That means the person who saved her by shouting her name was Woo Jin. At home, Song writes the name Chan on a piece of paper again and again, wondering, "Who are you?" On the other side, we see Woo Jin sitting alone, remembering old memories. In his flashback, Song is smiling and saying, "I love you." The next day, Song goes to her office. She feels like someone is watching her. She notices that someone is secretly taking her pictures. Her sister Young comes to her and asks, "Who is that? Who is stalking you?" Young quickly takes Song's phone, does something on it, and then puts it back quietly. Later, at the cafe, Song sits alone and thinks, could the person following me be Woo Jin? Just then, she receives a message from Kim Bong. It says, "Come to the hotel at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, we see Mr. Kim holding his chest in pain. He doesn't look well. At that moment, Woo Jin arrives there and starts playing with Mr. Kim's dog. It seems Woo Jin has been visiting him for a few days, so they already know each other. Mr. Kim looks at Woo Jin's face and says, "What happened to you? Why do you look so troubled?" Woo Jin notices a harmonica nearby and asks, "Do you play this?" Mr. Kim smiles and says, "I used to play it when I lived in my village." He mentions the name of his hometown, Chuncheon. He explains that when he was looking through his old belongings, he found the harmonica, and it brought back many memories. When Woo Jin hears the word memories, his expression changes. He becomes quiet and sad. He thinks to himself, "No matter how much I try to forget everything, one memory always comes back." Mr. Kim tells him to sit and wait while he quickly goes somewhere. Woo Jin notices a piano in the room and slowly starts playing it. At the same time, we see Kim Bong with Song. Song asks, "What meeting are you talking about? Where are you taking me?" Kim Bong is actually trying to introduce her to a photographer for dating. Song immediately refuses. Kim Bong says, "It's been 7 years. You should try dating someone. How long will you stay alone?" Song's eyes fill with emotion. She replies softly, "I like being alone. I want to live like this." Later, we see Kim Bong sitting in the car, lost in her thoughts. A flashback begins. We see a young Song. Her parents are killed in an accident. She becomes an orphan at a very young age. Another flashback shows Song at the airport, returning home after Chan's death, telling everyone that he is gone. Back in the present, Kim Bong becomes emotional, remembering everything Song has suffered. 7 years ago, Song lost the man she loved, whose name was Chan. And since then, she has been living alone, carrying all the pain inside her heart. Here, we see Song walking alone on the street. Suddenly, she receives a message from her grandmother, Kim Bong. The message says, "At least go and meet him. Otherwise, he will be sitting there alone." Meanwhile, we see Mr. Kim pouring wine into 2 glasses. He gently says, "The more you try to forget your memories, the more they come back to you. You just have to let things flow the way they are." On the other side, Song arrives to meet the photographer. She sits and talks politely with him. But then she notices someone entering the place. It's Woo Jin. The moment he sees her, he turns around and walks out. Song immediately follows him and stops him from the front. She looks straight into his eyes and says, "That day, you were the one who stopped me before the accident, right?" Then she asks the question she has been holding inside. How do you know my name? Who are you?" Woo Jin stands there silently. Inside his heart, he says to himself, "There's someone I need to meet. Because of her, I am still alive. Because of her, I am still breathing." We then see a flashback. We see Chan opening the gate, and suddenly, the huge explosion happens. He is severely injured in the blast and is rushed to the hospital. Then the story moves forward 3 months later. Chan is no longer in the United States. He is now in Korea. We learn something shocking. Chan has lost his memory. He doesn't remember his past, his life, or even who he is. The only thing he remembers is one sentence, Song saying, "I love you, Chan." That one memory is the only thing left in his mind. We see him trying to draw her face again and again. He tries hard to remember more, but nothing comes back. Then we see a scene where Chan is sitting in a car. He suddenly spots Song walking on the street and starts following her. Just when he is about to reach her, fireworks begin in the sky. The loud noise makes his ears hurt badly. His ears were damaged in the explosion, and loud sounds trigger his pain. At that moment, everything suddenly comes back to him. All his memories return, and we finally learn the truth. The man Song truly loved was someone else. His full name was Kong Chan. He was Song's boyfriend. Kong Chan was always busy with his work. Many times, he would make his friend, Chan, sit in his place and reply to Song's messages for him. Slowly, Chan started talking to Song through messages on Kong Chan's laptop. One day, Kong Chan left for a trip and accidentally took Chan's laptop with him, while Chan was left with Kong Chan's laptop, the one that had all of Song's messages. Because of that mistake, Chan kept replying to her messages. That is how their connection started. Here, I confirmed that his name was Chan, but after his memory loss, his name is Woo Jin, so we also call him Woo Jin, so don't be confused. Back to the present. Song is still asking him, "Who are you? How do you know me?" He is crying silently. He quickly wipes his tears and says, "It's nothing. I just got emotional for no reason. You're thinking too much." But Song is not convinced. She shows him a ticket she found in his pocket and says, "Then what is this? Why are you following me? Why are you taking my pictures? Are you stalking me?" She even shows him proof on her phone and says, "That day you called my name. How did you know my name is Song?" Woo Jin takes out his phone and opens her website. He explains, "Before coming for the collaboration, I searched your name on your company website. That's how I knew." Then Song asks, "But how did you recognize me so quickly that day?" He replies honestly, "At the exhibition, you were looking at a painting. I saw you from the side. I just didn't tell you before. I'm sorry." Hearing all this, Song says, "Maybe I misunderstood everything." Song starts to walk away, but she stops, turns back, and asks one more question. "What were you doing at this hotel? And why did you suddenly run outside?" He explains calmly, "I'm staying at this hotel. I just came outside to pick up something." After hearing this, Song finally leaves. Behind her, Woo Jin thinks deeply, who is really following her? As Song walks away, we see that someone is indeed secretly following her again. Woo Jin notices it and quickly tells Song, someone is following you. Both of them start chasing the mysterious person. As Song and Woo Jin chase the stalker, we see that Yang is also secretly following them. While running, Yang almost crashes into something and is about to fall. But suddenly, Mr. Yoon appears and catches her just in time, saving her from falling. Meanwhile, Song and Woo Jin finally corner the stalker. The stalker throws something towards Song, but before it can hit her, Woo Jin quickly steps in front of her. The liquid hits his jacket instead. He grabs the attacker, and we are shocked to see that the stalker is actually a girl. In the next scene, everyone is at the police station. The police officer asks what exactly was thrown at Song. Woo Jin starts explaining in scientific terms what chemicals were mixed in it. He says it was something similar to chlorine. We then learn that the girl used to work with Song before. She angrily says, everyone liked you only because your grandmother is powerful. She was the boss, so you got all the awards and attention. She did all of this out of jealousy. But surprisingly, Song decides not to press any charges. She walks out of the station quietly. Outside, Song turns to Yang and asks, how did you know I was here? Yang nervously replies, that day, I put a tracker in your phone. I followed you. At the same time, Mr. Yoon arrives there as well. He had followed Yang when he saw her running. Song gets angry at her sister and scolds her loudly. Why did you do something like that? She raises her voice more than usual. Yang gently stops her and says, I'm fine. I'm standing right here in front of you. Then she hugs Song tightly. After that, both sisters thank Woo Jin for saving Song. Yang notices that Woo Jin's jacket is completely damaged because of the chemical that was thrown. Song looks at him and softly says, I'm sorry for everything. Even before. She is referring to the time when she accused him of stalking her. But Woo Jin calmly replies, nothing happened, and he starts walking away. Yang whispers to Song, why did you say sorry for before? Song admits, because I shouted at him and accused him. Just then, the police officers come outside and say, where did that man go? He needs treatment. Hearing this, Song quickly runs after Woo Jin. She finds him and notices that his hand is injured. She immediately takes out her credit card and says, charge the hospital bill and the cost of your jacket to me. She tries to give him her card. Woo Jin looks at her and says jokingly, are you a lawyer? I thought you were a designer. Even in pain, he tries to lighten the mood. But even then, she hands the card back and says softly, all of this happened because of me. I really don't like it when someone gets hurt because of me. After saying that, she quietly walks away. While Woo Jin stands there confused and hurt, he keeps asking himself, why does this keep happening again and again? Later, Song returns home. There, Miss Kim starts scolding her. She says angrily, how long are you going to keep living like this? It's clear she is frustrated with Song's behavior. Meanwhile, Song's sister, Yang, tries to cover for her. When Miss Kim asks who Song was with earlier, she quickly replies that it was just a boy. She then goes to Song and tells her, keep telling them you're meeting a guy. That way, they won't disturb you. And you don't need to thank me for this. I'll handle it. Then Yang asks about the animator's injured hand. Song replies, I gave him my card. If there are any charges, he can contact me. But Yang gets upset and says, at least you should have had dinner with him. That's the least you could do. You're not like this normally. She then suggests, why don't you gift him some new clothes? And this time, go and give them to him yourself. As Song is about to leave, she stops at the gate. Suddenly, we see a flashback. In the past, Song washed everyone's sandals and refused to let anyone go outside. She was extremely scared and kept saying, no one should go out. Something bad could happen. In the end, we see Young looking at her with concern before walking away. On the other side, at the hotel, Woo Jin receives a package. It contains new clothes sent by Song. He wonders how she even knew his room number. Then he remembers that he had shown her his card earlier, which mentioned the hotel where he was staying. It starts raining outside. Woo Jin grabs an umbrella and goes downstairs to find her. When he reaches the entrance, he sees Song standing in the rain, feeling the raindrops with her hands. He remembers how much she loves doing this. He walks toward her and opens the umbrella, but it turns out to be broken. Embarrassed, he says, wait here, I'll get another one. As Song looks at him, she begins to think. He explains everything with science, just like Chan used to. He even talked the same way at the police station. Why are they so similar? But at this moment, Song doesn't know the truth. The person standing in front of her is not someone else. He is actually Chan, the boyfriend she once knew. Just then, a girl approaches Song and says, "You're alive? You suddenly disappeared after telling everyone you were going to the US. Where have you been all this time?" At this moment, she insists, "I've already booked my wedding in this hotel. You'll have to come." But she doesn't really listen to the person speaking. Instead, she walks into the hotel on her own. Then Woo Jin quietly takes her to his room. There's no umbrella yet, so Woo Jin asks the hotel staff to bring one. The two of them wait, but it takes a long time for the umbrella to arrive. While waiting, Song notices a small plant in front of her. Shortly after, Woo Jin's friend Ben arrives, and they meet briefly. Woo Jin begins behaving a little strangely, trying to keep his cool. Finally, he hands Song the umbrella and says, "Next time, we'll meet in a proper meeting." After that, he locks the door and lies down on the bed. Then, noticing Woo Jin's odd behavior, asks, "Why are you acting so weird? Are you two dating?" Woo Jin quickly responds, "Nothing like that is happening. Don't you think we should be staying in a proper house instead of a hotel?" Meanwhile, Mr. Park is seen lifting some things but suddenly faints. At the same time, Song arrives at the coffee shop and sees all the items scattered. A sign nearby says he will return soon. She calls Mr. Park, but Woo Jin answers, saying he is sleeping. Song notices their dog at the shop and decides to take it home. The dog is playful and cute, and Young enjoys playing with it. Later, Song tells her grandmother Kim Bong about the dog and the coffee shop, mentioning the cafe owner as well. Here, we see Song. She thinks to herself about taking something for the dog. At home, Kim Bong encourages the dog to explore the garden, but suddenly the doorbell rings. It's Mr. Park returning, holding the dog and hugging it tightly. He thanks Kim Bong, ready to leave with the dog, but Kim Bong stops him, asking if he could get hurt in the park or if he really belongs to Chun Chun Village. He asks back, "Who are you?" At that moment, a flashback shows Mr. Park playing the harmonica long ago. Kim Bong appears in the memory, though her name back then was Nae Wong, and they were friends. In the present, we see both of them happy after meeting again. On the other side, Song arrives at the coffee shop and notices someone is already there. It's none other than Woo Jin. He tells her, "I'm going to stay here because I'm close to him. The hotel is next door, so I used to come here daily." He also mentions, "Mr. Park was the one who gave me that painting exhibition card." Song realizes that everything from before, the card, the attention, even the timing, connects back to him. At this moment, Song realizes, "So you're the one who answered my call." Woo Jin responds, "And you're the one taking care of their dog." On the other side, we see both of them talking, sharing a lighthearted moment, remarking that it feels like they are meeting after 50 years. The little dog listens quietly as they chat. Mr. Park notices, "You've become so famous. I didn't realize you were Nae Wong." Kim Bong then starts talking about Song, mentioning that she comes by the cafe daily and is close to them. Mr. Park responds that while she visits, they don't really talk much. He just makes coffee for her. Kim Bong reflects, "It's been 7 years, and yet I knew nothing about this." Mr. Park then recalls, "I first saw her 7 years ago." A flashback shows Song standing in the rain, completely drenched, as Mr. Park notices her for the first time. Back in the present, we see Song sketching quietly. Suddenly, she notices Woo Jin behind her. He accidentally knocks her phone, which slides toward her. The phone starts ringing. It's a call from Ben. Song first puts the phone on his left side, but Woo Jin suggests, "Try putting it on the right side." He then speaks with Ben. After that, Mr. Park arrives and thanks Song for taking care of the dog. Song asks, "Why are you keeping him at your home?" He responds, "I live alone. Having someone like him is good for me. He's a wonderful companion." Mr. Park observes, "I've never seen you laugh like this before." The next day, we see Song steps out of the elevator and sees her grandmother, Kim Bong, who asks for a paper from her. As she takes it, Song's phone rings, and she hands the file to Mr. Yoon. Kim Bong notices that the file has Woo Jin's name on it. She inspects it quietly, then returns the file and leaves. She instructs Mr. Yoon, "Keep an eye on these two," before heading back to her office. Meanwhile, Young appears and teases Mr. Yoon, saying, "You're like a robot. You have to do exactly as my grandmother says." Here, Song walks into her office and notices that Woo Jin has already made friends with everyone there. Later, all of them gather for a meeting. Kim Bong suggests, "Why don't we discuss all this over dinner?" After that, They arrive at the restaurant. Kim Bong leaves, leaving Woo Jin and Song alone. The waiter brings the menu, and Song hesitates to order. She notices the injury on Woo Jin's hand, which reminds her that she should go ahead and have dinner with him. Song decides, let's have dinner, and this time it's on me. The arrives and suggests a dish to Woo Jin, but he immediately says she won't like this one. Song raises an eyebrow. How do you know I won't like it? Woo Jin replies, most people don't. Trusting his judgment, Song lets it go. Then Song receives a message from Kim Bong, who advises, instead of writing his name on paper, keep it in your heart. Song realizes that when she had placed the file earlier, she had noticed the name inside. She says to Woo Jin, maybe my grandmother misunderstood. She saw the name when I wrote it, but it was because I thought he might be stalking me. Let her think what she wants, so she doesn't trouble me further. Meanwhile, Mr. Yoon brings a tablet to Kim Bong. She teases, you care a little too much. Here, suddenly, a loud noise from the speaker pierces Woo Jin's ears, causing him severe pain. Every small sound becomes unbearable, and he bolts from there, accidentally knocking a dish to the floor. At the same time, Song's pen falls, and a man passing by kicks it, sending it further away. Song rushes to Woo Jin's side, concerned. Are you okay? Let's go to the hospital. You might need some medicine. He explains, I don't like noisy places. I can't hear from my left ear at all. Sometimes small sounds get in, and it hurts. Song realizes from his explanation that he truly cannot hear from his left ear. Now Woo Jin's shirt is dirty. Song removes her own muffler and carefully wraps it around him. Woo Jin gratefully says, thank you for taking care of me. But if you give me this muffler, you might catch a cold. The next day, Song does catch a cold. Meanwhile, she notices that her pen is missing and searches everywhere. Woo Jin quietly observes her. After the meeting, Song returns to her office and finds her pen in her purse, but Song can't find her pen and suddenly remembers seeing it at the restaurant last time. Woo Jin, overhearing everything, notices her struggle. After that, Song goes to the hotel, asking around, but no one has found the pen. Woo Jin arrives and gently asks, did you find your pen? She replies, no, I didn't. Seeing her frustration, Woo Jin offers his own pen, but Song tries to return it. Woo Jin, slightly annoyed, says, how long are you going to wait here? It's just a pen. Song snaps back, what do you know? And why are you saying that? As she tries to leave, Woo Jin stops her, putting her coat back on her and saying, all right, I'm leaving now. Back at home, Woo Jin changes his clothes when Mr. Park arrives. He notices the tattoo on Woo Jin's chest and asks about its meaning. Woo Jin explains, it means you could die at any moment. You have to live your life without regrets. Mr. Park, seeing Woo Jin's care for plants, leaves a plant for him to take care of before departing. Woo Jin reflects, if I don't tell her, I'll regret it forever. I don't want to live with regrets. With that thought, he leaves the house and repeatedly calls Song. Song, meanwhile, is sitting outside the hotel, and Woo Jin finally reaches her. He apologizes for his earlier behavior and says, I don't want to live with regrets. I'll be leaving for the US in 3 months. But until then, I want to be here with you. I want to enjoy life with you. Don't think about the past or the future. Let's enjoy this moment together. Then, a flashback reveals that Woo Jin had once tried to take his own life, but Song's messages and notifications had interrupted him, saving him. Now, in the present, Woo Jin says, it's because of you that I came back twice. From now on, I'll treat you with care and respect. Woo Jin tells Song that he wants to stay by her side as a friend and treat her well. Now, we dive into Woo Jin's backstory. His mother leaves him, and he ends up living with his father. Woo Jin loves sketching, but his father disapproves. Because of this, he sends Woo Jin to the US. Later, Woo Jin's father comes to the US for an event. Woo Jin meets him and offers him water in his room. His father notices a box filled with Woo Jin's drawings, including a sketch of his mother. Angrily, he throws the entire box away, tearing the sketches and scattering everything. In the chaos, Woo Jin even gets hurt on the head. He pleads, how long will you keep doing this? His father, furious, replies, until you stop. I'll keep doing it, and storms off. Heartbroken, Woo Jin tries to process everything. At one point, he even attempts to end his life. But just then, he receives a message from Song Ha Rant's message, which distracts him and saves him from falling further. Song had written that the pen Woo Jin gave her helped her even today and calls him her savior. Woo Jin thinks to himself, "You are my savior." For the first time, he feels he has a reason to live. We then see Woo Jin in the lab, where Song has sent him a music box playing piano notes. He smiles, steps outside, and enjoys life a little, all thanks to her. In the present, Song is still sad and crying, but Woo Jin doesn't want her to be unhappy. He comes to her and says, "I want to treat you well." But now Song tries to refuse him, but Woo Jin insists, "For 3 months, I just want to be your friend. After that, I'll disappear from your life." Song ignores him and begins to walk away. Woo Jin follows her and she says, "You should live so you don't have regrets. That's your motto." "But my motto is to stay away from everyone and avoid getting close to anyone." Woo Jin replies softly, "I don't want to get too close. I just want to be your friend for 3 months." Even hearing this, Song keeps walking. Woo Jin stops her and says, "Then I will try my best. I will make you my friend." Song doesn't quite understand his words. Woo Jin then waves goodbye and leaves. In the next scene, we see Song at home, still thinking about the missing pen and feeling sad. Meanwhile, Woo Jin is seen at home, carefully planting a flower in a pot. The following day, Song's youngest sister Se Jin comes to her, and we see the family interacting. The youngest sister talks excitedly about her boyfriend and her plans to marry him, giving all the details. Everyone listens with great interest, especially Se Jin's grandmother, Miss Kim, who says she wants to meet the boy first before discussing further. Hearing this, Se Jin becomes very happy and heads off to school, while Young wonders what's happening at home and how the school children are already talking about weddings. In the next scene, Song sees Woo Jin approaching her and starts avoiding him. She recalls his earlier promise to be her friend for 3 months. She begins ignoring him everywhere she goes. In a meeting, Woo Jin isn't there, so Song tries to speak to her grandmother, asking if she can step away from the animation project because she has no knowledge of animation, but Miss Kim refuses. As Miss Kim leaves, Mr. Yoon also exits, observing the situation silently. Meanwhile, Woo Jin arrives at a cafe after being told he isn't in the office. He spends the day running errands, carrying items back and forth, losing track of time. At night, we see Mr. Yoon leaving the office. He notices a phone ringing on a table. It belongs to Yang, who had forgotten it while eating and couldn't pay her bill. Mr. Yoon pays on her behalf. Yang promises to return the money later and mentions that she's heading to a date. On her phone, she shows a photo of a man, and Mr. Yoon's expression suggests he is feeling jealous. They both leave together. In the next scene, Miss Kim observes these characters and recalls Song's earlier wish to leave the animation project. She realizes that the others are trying to manipulate her and notices that Song doesn't actually like Woo Jin. At home, Yang prepares to go on her date with the man in question. Miss Kim suddenly appears, concerned about her going out with a boy, but to avoid Kim finding out about Song, Young also takes Song along and drops her off outside, ensuring she doesn't get involved. Young told Song to stay outside because if her grandmother finds out they lied, it would cause trouble. Young heads off to her blind date, but Song goes to the cafe, avoiding Mr. Park's cafe, where Woo Jin might be. However, she sees Woo Jin arrive with some people, so she starts avoiding him. When her order is called, only the number appears, not her name, so she quickly grabs the paper and leaves. Woo Jin finds this situation a little strange and steps outside to look, but he doesn't see anyone. From this point onward, wherever she goes, she seems to encounter Woo Jin, who is always nearby. Song tries to leave, saying she's going, and runs across the road without noticing the red light. A speeding biker approaches, but Woo Jin saves her, injuring her hand in the process. Song insists on leaving and refuses to go to the hospital, but Woo Jin apologizes and insists she should at least get checked. Song explains that she never intends to come close to him, and when he tries to, it makes her very uncomfortable. She feels that because of him, she can't even go to her favorite cafe or stroll in her neighborhood freely, as he always seems to appear. She admits that she likes her normal daily life, dislikes people intruding, and doesn't want any changes in her life. Despite this, Woo Jin gently tells her that he'll just stand beside her and not interfere, suggesting that they could at least go to the hospital together. At the hospital, the doctor advises that Song must bandage his hand for 2 months until it heals completely. Outside, Woo Jin notices a menu from the cafe in his hands and recalls that a girl had walked past him. This was Song. He sits down, thinking deeply about everything. When they both leave the hospital, Woo-jin apologizes and tells her that soon he will be moving away. He will shift somewhere else, stay away from her at the office, and act as if nothing ever happened between them. After saying this, he even helps her into a taxi. Song returns home and sits on her bed when Song receives a call from Mr. Park asking if she's alright because she hasn't been to the cafe for a few days. She makes up a small excuse. Meanwhile, Woo-jin arrives at the cafe and Song hears his voice. Woo-jin checks if Mr. Park has taken his tablets, but Mr. Park hangs up the call. Song recalls Mr. Park's kind words and starts questioning herself, wondering if she has done something wrong. On the other hand, Woo-jin is taking care of a plant that's drying out. He learns from Mr. Park that the plant is stressed due to environmental changes and could die if not handled carefully. Woo-jin also cleans mirrors and thinks about how Song cannot even visit her favorite cafe because of him. As he tries to tell Mr. Park that he doesn't want to stay there, Mr. Park reminds him that, thanks to him, he is doing well and that he has become like a son to him. Woo-jin remains silent after hearing this. The next day, Se-jin's boyfriend is shown preparing to meet her after changing into his uniform. He talks to Se-jin on the phone, but the call is cut off as a car passes by. Se-jin worries about him but sees that he is safe and becomes emotional. She feels happy after seeing him and mentions that her grandmother wants her to take him home. Meanwhile, Song goes to the office, where Woo-jin is performing magic tricks for everyone. He folds a paper full of candies and makes the candies multiply, surprising and delighting everyone. Song watches everything quietly. Someone asks Woo-jin how he performed the trick, and Young insists that he explains so she can show her friends. Woo-jin jokingly says that he will share it in a group chat. Later, everyone is seen in a meeting, still behaving unusually due to project-related stress. Woo-jin says he plans to go out tomorrow to take photos. Miss Kim suggests that Song should go with him. Song tries to come up with an excuse, but Miss Kim insists that she must accompany Woo-jin. After Kim Bong leaves, Woo-jin admits he didn't expect this situation and offers to change the date if Song wants, but she tells him there's no need to do that. Song decides that she will go with Woo-jin the next day. Meanwhile, Young is seen sitting with some flowers and telling everyone that these flowers were given to her by the person she just met. Mr. Yoon is listening to all this. Then we see a foreigner speaking about business with Mr. Yoon, and next to him, a man gives the same flowers to his girlfriend. This reminds Mr. Yoon that Young had gone on a date with a man. Then, the scene shifts to Song, who encounters Woo-jin dressed like a king. They begin exploring the area and taking photos. Woo-jin takes out his booklet to organize his plan because he wants to make the most of their outing. Song stays close to him, observing. People keep approaching to take photos with Woo-jin in his king costume. Woo-jin decides to change his outfit, and Song continues drawing the scene. Later, someone calls Song's name. Song turns to see who called her. After that, when Woo-jin arrives, he doesn't notice her at first, and her phone is left behind, prompting him to search for her. Here, Song sits alone, feeling sad. Woo-jin comes and tells her that he doesn't want to interfere in her matters again, but this time, he will, because he wants to know why she came to that place. Song explains that she heard a voice that sounded like her mother calling her, but it turns out it was another lady calling her own daughter. Song had mistaken it for her mother's voice. The story then flashes back. Song remembers her parents being in the car with her grandmother in another car. A truck collides with her mother and father's car, and her parents die in the accident. Song explains that hearing a voice that sounded like her mother made her feel both happy and deeply sad. Woo-jin reassures her that it's normal to hear the voice of someone you miss. Then, Song apologizes to Woo-jin, admitting that she may have spoken too much and is often too harsh. She explains that she struggles to change herself. Whenever someone comes close to her, she fears losing them and, as a result, distances herself from others. She builds walls to protect herself from future pain. After this, she breaks down in tears, questioning what is happening and expressing that Woo-jin is very unusual and confusing to her. Then, she remembers that Woo-jin had told her that he will only stay for 3 months before disappearing. Song worries that everything is happening because he will leave. At that moment, the lights turn on, and Woo-jin remarks on how beautiful the view is. They realize they need to grab their bags, so they rush to leave. Here, at the office, we see these two in the elevator. where Yang tells Song that she's going with Mr. Cha, but Mr. Yin lies that Miss Kim is calling her. When Hyom arrives at the office, she finds that Miss Kim isn't there. Meanwhile, Woo Jin meets some children who ask him to show them a trick. After doing so, he tells them he will meet them later. Song observes this and accuses him of being copycat-like, getting too involved in others' affairs. Woo Jin stops her and explains that she has misunderstood him. He admits that he gets close to people, but when he said he wanted to be her friend, he meant something deeper. He wanted to show her a different path in life. He shares that he too was bullied, lonely at night, and even once tried to end his life, but someone saved him. His savior helped him laugh and live again. Now, he wants to be that person for Song, helping her find joy and life again. Later, Song notices Woo Jin taking photos with a dog. Then, she gives him his favorite milk and tells something that he cannot hear, so she comes close and asks if his offer is still valid, and he, initially confused, realizes the milk's expiry date is still valid. Song asks if she can become his friend for just 3 months, and he agrees. They then shake hands, agreeing to enjoy this spring together like a small picnic, promising to have fun. Suddenly, a taxi horn blares loudly, causing Woo Jin pain in his ear and triggering a memory. He again remembers the blast scene. In the next scene, he visits the doctor, explaining that more memories are slowly resurfacing. The doctor suggests there must be a trigger point causing these recollections. Woo Jin reflects that he first remembered everything 7 years ago when he saw her at the bridge, but the doctor warns him that staying too close to her could hurt him. Woo Jin insists he cannot leave, no matter how painful it may be. In the next scene, Woo Jin is watering plants. Just then, Song arrives, taking it from him, and Mr. Park appears, asking why she's there so early. He invites both of them inside for coffee. They notice the previously wilting plant is now healthy again. Here, Woo Jin reflects that because of her, he is alive today and would do anything, even die for her. Song asks why he is looking at her that way, and he replies simply that he's just looking at her. Next, Woo Jin goes to Ben's place and announces he plans to rent a car. He arrives at Song's house and invites her out, saying he will show her around. Miss Kim sees them leaving and wonders if they're being truthful. Then, the two arrive at a riverside. Woo Jin brings food and pastries for Song and gives her a letter listing places he wants to visit with her. He explains that whenever she's free, they will explore together. While returning with food, Woo Jin notices 2 couples nearby enjoying the view of fireworks, which reminds both him and Song of a special day in the past. Woo Jin then convinces Song to participate in a playful race across the bridge, promising that the loser will treat the winner to dinner. They enjoy the challenge together, laughing and reminiscing. In the end, Song wins the race, and the moment brings them closer, sharing joy and memories at the bridge where she recalls past events. The next morning, we see Song and Young. Just then, Se-jin arrives and announces that her boyfriend is coming over and urges everyone to arrive early. Young wonders if the girl she's talking about is truly serious about marriage. Meanwhile, at Se-jin's school, a beautiful girl confesses her feelings to Se-jin's boyfriend, but he politely rejects her, saying he likes someone else. Se-jin then appears, noticing the commotion, and the others leave, including her boyfriend and his friends. Meanwhile, Song is in the office, choosing pens and missing her original favorite pen. Her grandmother calls urgently, asking her to bring some items. Song rushes out, unable to find a taxi, just as Woo Jin appears and offers to drive her. She insists he hurry, and Woo Jin, though hesitant, drives carefully. A horn suddenly blares nearby, causing the car to swerve, narrowly missing a motorcyclist. Then, Woo Jin apologizes to the motorcyclist and reassures a frightened Song that everything is fine. Next, Woo Jin is seen alone in a coffee shop, reflecting on Song's words that if she doesn't allow anyone close, nothing can hurt her. He feels responsible for the recent accident. Shortly after, Song arrives, reminding him that she asked him to drop her off, so it wasn't his fault. Hearing this eases his guilt. She admits that becoming friends with him isn't so bad and that she's gradually changing. Her bad memories are slowly turning into good ones. She encourages transparency in their friendship, saying they shouldn't keep secrets from each other. Here, Se-jin's boyfriend is outside at night, where her boyfriend grows increasingly nervous upon seeing Miss Kim. It's revealed that he and Miss Kim have met already before, adding an extra layer of tension to the scene. Here, Miss Kim instructs Se-jin's boyfriend to pretend as if they are meeting for the first time. Later, at home, everyone is behaving awkwardly. Se-jin is seen calling her two sisters, who still haven't arrived. Then, she comes to them and asks her boyfriend why he is so sweaty. Se-jin's boyfriend reassures them that he will return after the sisters arrive. After that, he leaves, and Se-jin expresses frustration at her grandmother, wondering how he left so suddenly. Later, both sisters arrive, and Se-jin scolds them, telling them not to talk to her. Inside, Miss Kim is sitting quietly, lost in thought. When both sisters arrive, she notices how quickly things are happening around her. Young wonders what's going on. After that, Miss Kim heads to her room, and the scene shifts to her crossing a road, but she suddenly stops and stands still. Just then, Se-jin's boyfriend approaches, asking why she is standing there and where she's going. Miss Kim, meanwhile, seems confused and says she doesn't know where she's supposed to go. In the present, Song visits her sister, who appears sad. The next day, Yang is at the office speaking with her boyfriend, saying she's coming to meet him. Mr. Yoon arrives, telling her that Miss Kim is calling for her. Yang recalls that he was told this earlier, but Miss Kim wasn't in her office. After that, Mr. Yoon is seen checking her boyfriend's location. The scene shifts to Miss Kim, who is locking something in a box. Yang arrives, asking if Miss Kim called her, but Miss Kim denies it and Yang leaves. Miss Kim locks the key in the box. Meanwhile, in the office, everyone is surprised because Song has not covered the glass, meaning she's visible to everyone today. During a work-related meeting, the group plans to go somewhere. Meanwhile, Se-jin realizes she is being ignored and lied to, noticing her boyfriend sitting outside a cafe with another girl. Furious, she storms inside and yells at him, only to find her boyfriend sitting with her sister, with Yang also present, so the four of them are together. Meanwhile, her boyfriend Hong is seen deep in thought, and a flashback shows him receiving a call that prompts him to visit Se-jin's grandmother. Miss Kim explains that sometimes her mind goes completely blank. Hong suggests that she should see a doctor and inform their family, but she refuses and insists that no one should know. Sitting there, Hong reflects on the situation and feels a bit sad. The scene shifts to Miss Kim, who mentions she only has a little time left. Then, we see Mr. Yoon heading toward Yang's boyfriend to warn him to stay away. A backstory shows that he had tried to hit him with a car, but Mr. Yoon intervenes. The man mocks him and damages the car's side mirror, but Mr. Yoon takes his phone, drops it in water, and warns him, "Next time I won't break your phone, I'll break you." The next day, Woo-jin exits a cafe, and Song meets him, offering to drive. On the way, she asks if he's worried about her, and he confirms that he is. Light rain starts, gradually becoming heavier. Song brings up the events at the police station from that day, questioning how he knew details despite being an art student. Woo-jin stays silent. The heavy rain causes the car's wipers to stop working, leaving them almost blind. Woo-jin grabs the steering wheel, and at one point, his hand rests on Song's hand. Somehow, they manage to reach a safe spot. Woo-jin goes to call someone to fix the car, but the repair will take 4 to 5 hours. Meanwhile, Woo-jin is soaked, and Song gives him her muffler to keep him warm. An elderly lady arrives, and it is revealed that she is Woo-jin's grandmother. She meets Song, and later they arrive at her house, where Woo-jin's grandmother prepares tea for Song. Song learns that Woo-jin's grandmother is a potter. Then, the scene shifts to Yang, who has discovered something, leaving her in shock. They're all asking her, "What's wrong?" She reveals that she's been cheated on by the guy she was dating. That guy is getting married, and he's been chatting with girls on other social media accounts. I found out from someone else that he's sending invitation cards to everyone. It means it's his wedding. At this point, Yang becomes extremely angry and starts saying, "I'm going to teach him a lesson." She approaches him and confronts him. He starts saying, "Some guy came to me too. Maybe he's your boyfriend or something. He was threatening me to stay away from you, and I even broke the side mirror of his car." Yang says, "I don't know what you're talking about," and she kicks him in the nose and leaves. Then, she arrives at the house, where Mr. Yoon sees her and asks, "What's wrong with you?" She continues, "Why didn't you come in your car?" To which he says she's also busy repairing it. She initially listens to this. She then asks, "Is the side mirror of your car broken?" Mr. Yoon says yes, and she asks, "Did you go to meet my boyfriend?" Mr. Yoon starts acting strange and says, "I'm leaving. Madam is calling me." And at this point, he's holding the phone upside down and he walks away. Yang wonders if it's him she's thinking about. That can't be. Meaning, she's wondering if he loves her. On the other side, we see Woo-jin's grandmother watching them and smiling. In the next scene, we see Woo Jin return, and his grandmother asks him, "Do you like Miss Song?" He replies, "I can't do that." Miss Song then tells him to give her a towel, and then we see both of them at the car. The vehicle is finally fixed. Woo Jin's grandmother gives Song a muffler, showing her care for both of them. They get into the car, and Woo Jin checks the windshield wipers, confirming they work properly. Song then confronts Woo Jin, saying she heard everything he said earlier and asks why he can't like her, wondering what happened that made him say that. Woo Jin pauses for a moment, thinking, and then responds with hesitation, asking Song, "Can I really like you?" His question clearly surprises Song. He hesitates for a moment and awkwardly says that maybe they should turn the wiper off. Both of them quickly try to explain themselves. Song says she didn't mean it in a serious way, and Woo Jin also says he didn't mean anything strange either. She explains that her grandmother keeps talking about the two of them dating. Because of that, she just wanted to stop the situation early before things became uncomfortable. She insists that there is no deeper meaning behind what she said. Woo Jin listens quietly and then starts driving again, trying to move past the awkward moment. Then, the story officially begins in the historic city of Jeonju. A radio broadcast in the car talks about how the cold weather will arrive earlier this year and that the first snowfall may also come sooner than usual. As they drive through the quiet road, Woo Jin suddenly stops the car after seeing a beautiful view. He says it would be a shame if they just passed by without enjoying it. Song steps out of the car and looks around at the scenery. It really is beautiful, but while they stand there, she suddenly says something unexpected. She says she actually hates snow, especially the first snow. Woo Jin looks surprised and asks why. After a short pause, she quietly explains that the first snowfall reminds her of a painful memory. Her parents died in an accident on the day of the first snow. Since that day, the first snowfall has always felt like an unlucky day for her. Even though she knows it might just be a silly superstition, she still can't stop feeling that way. Hearing this, Woo Jin gently responds that if she hates the first snow, then he'll start hating it too. He then admits that he has a strange habit of copying other people's preferences. After a moment of silence, she carefully brings up something he mentioned earlier. When she once talked about missing her mother's voice, he reacted as if he understood her feelings very well. She asks if the person he misses is also his mother. She says his grandmother told her about it, and she was surprised because it sounded like they had experienced similar pain. However, instead of answering directly, Woo Jin suddenly changes the topic in a playful way. He starts talking about food. He points to the crescent moon in the sky and says it reminds him of a croissant. According to him, whenever he sees a crescent moon, he suddenly craves a croissant. Then, he jokes that a half moon looks like omuris and a full moon looks like a pizza. Song laughs at the strange comparison. Soon, they arrive at their destination where several other people are waiting. It turns out they are meeting a team working on a creative project. Woo Jin excitedly introduces the girl as designer Song Ha-ran. She politely greets everyone. A man named Peter warmly welcomes her and introduces the rest of the team. The group explains their schedule for the day. In the morning, they will explore the scenery and visit historic sites around Jeonju. Later, they will go to Yongdong Village, a traditional village famous for its historical value. Peter also mentions a huge tree there that is more than 600 years old. As the team discusses together, Song quietly observes Woo Jin, who brought her there. She becomes curious about him. She wonders why he never talks about his past. She even wonders what happened to him when he studied in America. Something about his life seems mysterious. The next day, the rest of the team is joking around and playing games to decide who will drive the next car. Woo Jin proudly says he is the king of games after winning. When they arrive at another location, more team members join them. The group then visits Wangnadan Street, a popular area famous for traditional snacks like Jeonju bread. While exploring the place, Woo Jin also continues working on design ideas for their project. Later, we see Song and Ben are talking. Through their conversation, it is revealed that many of Woo Jin's American team members are very close with each other, almost like friends rather than just co-workers. Ben explains that their team became much closer after Woo Jin joined them. Apparently, he started his career in animation later than others and studied at CalArts, but he never talks about what he did before that. It is almost as if he erased that part of his life. As Song listens to this story, she becomes even more curious about Woo Jin hiding his past. Soon, Woo Jin returns and jokingly accuses them of gossiping about him. Everyone laughs, and the mood becomes lighter. Woo Jin then shows her a sketch he made. She looks impressed by his drawing. She also mentions that his grandmother once said Woo Jin stopped drawing for a long time. Curious, she asks what made him start drawing again. Woo Jin quietly remembers a moment from her past. He once went to an airport and bought a ticket for the earliest flight anywhere except the United States. She ended up traveling to Florence, trying to escape everything in his life. At that time, he made a small list of things he wanted to do in the future, and one of them was simply draw. Now, he explains that he just didn't want to live like a corpse anymore. Drawing again made him feel alive. Then we see them standing under the huge ancient tree in Yongdong village. The place feels calm and timeless. While looking around, Song asks Woo Jin an interesting question. She asks him if he could travel back in time, which moment of his life he would return to. Woo Jin thinks quietly for a moment, but then he says he doesn't want to return to the past at all. For him, there isn't any moment he wants to go back to. Instead, he believes people should focus on the present. Since no one knows when life will end, it's better to enjoy each day rather than regret the past. After a long day, the group finally prepares to head back and rest. Everyone begins gathering together, but suddenly they realize Song is missing. Someone remembers that she went back to get the scarf she forgot earlier. Worried, Woo Jin immediately decides to go look for her. He walks through the rainy area while calling her name again and again. Finally, he finds her standing there alone. Song looks surprised when she sees him. She explains that she thought she left her scarf somewhere, but later discovered it was already in her pocket. When she heard he was searching for her, she tried calling him, but he didn't hear the phone because of the rain. Woo Jin apologizes again for causing trouble. Because the rain is getting heavier, they sit down under a nearby shelter. While sitting there, Woo Jin notices that Song might have hurt her foot earlier while climbing. He carefully checks if she's okay and tells her that her shoelaces were too loose. Song insists she's fine, but he still tells her to inform him if the pain gets worse. He even jokes that he will carry her if necessary. After sitting quietly for a moment, Song finally gathers the courage to ask something she has been curious about for a while. She mentions what his grandmother told her before and asks what really happened in America. She wants to know why he once said he was trapped in a long winter and who helped him escape from it. Song explains that recently she has been sharing many things about her own life and feelings, but he never talks about his past, and that makes her feel a little uneasy. Woo Jin listens carefully. For a moment, he seems surprised by her honesty. Then, he begins talking about his present life instead. He explains that he started studying animation 6 years ago, worked very hard, and graduated early. After that, he joined his company as a character designer and eventually became a supervisor. He even explains small details about his daily life, like riding his bicycle to work because his office is only 1 minute away from his home. But Song wasn't asking about his present life. She was asking about his past. With a small smile, he apologizes and says he will use the secret card she mentioned earlier. She once said it was okay for people to keep some secrets. So, he says he will tell her everything about his present, but he will keep his past as a secret for now. Song quickly realizes she may have pushed too far. She apologizes and reminds him that they only agreed to a 3-month trial of being friends. She admits she was being selfish for asking too many questions. That night, the team gathers together for dinner because the costume team will leave the next day. The staff prepared a special meal for everyone, so the group happily sits down and enjoys their last night together. Someone suggests that since it's the final night, everyone should drink together. Soon, they start cheering, laughing, and playing drinking games. During the games, Song drinks alcohol for the first time in front of everyone. Her coworkers are shocked because they have never seen her drink before. Here, Woo Jin asks Ben a serious question. He wonders if hiding something from someone is the same as lying. Ben compares it to the story of Aladdin hiding his true identity. He mentions a line where the genie warns that the more someone gains through deception, the less they truly gain in the end. Meanwhile, Song quietly steps outside to get some fresh air. Woo Jin follows her and finds her sitting alone. She says she's trying to sober up so she can drink more later. While talking, Song admits she hasn't been able to draw properly during this trip. She believes it's because she lost the fountain pen she used for 7 years. At first, she thought the pen was special because of the person who gave it to her, but now she wonders if she simply misses the familiar feeling of using it. Then she reveals something sad. The person who gave her that pen has already died. That is why the pen meant so much to her. She also admits that before this trip, she really didn't want to come here. But surprisingly, she ended up having a lot of fun. It felt like a relaxing spring picnic. Because of that, she feels like they have become closer. She thanks him for asking to be friends and for helping her open up about her feelings. Then, Woo Jin suddenly suggests a small game, odd or even. If she guesses correctly, he says he will tell her everything about himself. She chooses odd, and she guesses correctly. For a moment, it seems like Woo Jin is finally ready to share his secrets. But just as she begins explaining, he notices that Song had fainted due to being so drunk. In the next scene, we see Song sleeping and Woo Jin sitting outside. He stands up and walks toward the gate. He begins to remember his past. He sees Song's boyfriend with an injury on his hand. Here, we also see him talking to a girl. The girl's name is Soo Jin. Here, this scene is shown when his boyfriend goes traveling, and this girl is also there, meaning he is going with her. In the next scene, we see Woo Jin, where he remembers all this, and we see him collapse right there. He then wakes up and remembers everything, causing him to start crying. We then see Song, who quickly wakes up and is in front of Woo Jin. Seeing her, she says, "You're looking at me like I'm a lost puppy." He says, "Why don't we go for a walk?" They arrive at this place. Song starts talking about the night before, but Woo Jin says, "I'll tell you everything, the truth." She replies, "There's no need to tell you anything, because we're already very good friends." We see Woo Jin giving her many things for her health, and she says, "Won't you tell me about the thing that allowed you to move forward in your life in America? It's the thing that allowed you to get out of your room." He says, "What I've done for you is nothing. She did so much for me. She taught me how to experience everything. I felt everything and experienced everything. My life was completely black and white, but when she came into my life, she filled it with color." They both exchange high fives. On the other side, we see Young picking out onions from her food. She remembers the scene where Mr. Yoon was picking out onions for her. In the present, she says, maybe he was flirting with the onions. Then Se-jin comes in saying, "Mr. Yoon gave me a tonic. I messed with him." Grandma also says, "He left me a between the venom tablet too. I eat that too. And Mr. Yoon is so nice. He takes so much care of our family." Now, after seeing this, Young starts saying that Mr. Yoon takes care of everyone, to which her grandmother replies that he only takes care of me. Hearing this, she becomes angry. She says, "I'm thinking too much, thinking that he takes care of everyone like that." We then see Song, where her team is returning to Seoul. But Woo Jin's team will stay here for 10 days. Woo Jin says, "I'll see you in 10 days, and there will be a full Woo Jin that day." He gives her a camera and says, "This is your homework." Then Woo Jin sees something in the sky and takes it away. He shows Woo Jin a rainbow, meaning a rainbow cloud, which looks absolutely beautiful. Woo Jin says, "We call it the mother of pulse." He takes a photo of it. Song tries to take a photo of it, but it comes blurry. After this, we see all these people taking a group photo. In the next scene, we see Song, who has arrived at Seoul, taking a photo of Moon with the camera Woo Jin gave her. This scene is shown where Woo Jin tells her that she has 10 days to take a photo every day and that this is her homework. She has to keep taking photos of whatever she likes. This means that she has to take 10 shots for 10 days. Here, she has also created Moon for 10 days, from small to large. We see Woo Jin on the other side, looking at Moon. The next day, we see Song coming into the office, bringing coffee for everyone and starting to talk to them. Everyone is shocked to see her, and they all say, "This is the first time you've talked to us so much." After listening, Song goes back to her office. On the other side, we see Young entering the elevator, where Mr. Yoon is inside. She begins to behave strangely, just like before. She then asks, "Who are you going to give that candy to?" Yoon says, "You can have one too." And he gives her a candy. Young eats it and leans slightly upwards. Mr. Yoon is watching her. A flashback shows Mr. Yoon in high school, waiting for Miss Kim. But Miss Kim doesn't arrive. Young arrives, and he says hello to her. He's incredibly nervous and sweating. Young says, "I'm not her. You gave me a hello by mistake, and you don't need to worry. At this point, Yoon is small and starts wiping his face. She gives him the same candy that Mr. Yoon had given her as a present. Young says, "When you eat this, your nervousness will go away and you'll feel much more relaxed." She touches his head and tells him that he's sweating, which he wipes away and leaves. Just then, Miss Kim arrives and he starts talking to her. He thanks Young for the chocolate, and she's doing something similar to when she was a child. In the present, we see Mr. Yoon, who is delighted to see this, and we learn that perhaps he's liked her since childhood. Meanwhile, we see Se-jin and her boyfriend, who says, "You don't need to assume anything. I'll explain everything to you." And he goes with his friends. In his bag, we see a call from a girl. Here, we see Song, who receives a call from Miss Kim, who asks her for the sketch which she had asked her to draw. Song is a little more stressed, unsure how to complete the sketch. Then Woo Jin sends her a photo, meaning of a cloud, and says, "Your picture was blurry, so I sent you this nice one." Just then, Kim arrives and starts talking about her. At the same time, Song gets an idea. She draws the same sketch and fills the dress with all the colors. She takes this sketch and shows it to Miss Kim. She loves it. She also reveals that she got the inspiration from a cloud in the same village. She then tells Woo Jin about all this. We also see Woo Jin adding all the details from his animation. In the next scene, we see Miss Kim, where Se-jin's boyfriend Hong comes to meet her. Here, we learn that he had given her a necklace, which has his number on it. Miss Kim always forgets who she is, so she had it written that he is her guardian and also has his number. Hong also sees the injury on Miss Kim's leg, to which she replies, "Nothing like that happened. It was just my fault." Hong says, "I'll always be with Se-jin, support her, and take good care of her." Then, we see Song at home, where she receives a call from Woo Jin asking, "Are you free next Friday?" He's taking her out for dinner and she agrees. We see the days slowly pass. Then we see Song taking photos. Meanwhile, they have a lot of conversation and 10 days pass. Song has come to get her camera's photos taken. Elsewhere, we see Woo Jin driving toward her alone in his car. He calls her, saying he'll be there in an hour, but then Miss Kim calls her. She says, "I'm retiring from here, and you have to take my place." She tries to refuse, but she doesn't let her. Miss Kim says, "You have to do this, and no one else is going to do it here." The cutoff moment shifts, and we see Woo Jin driving, and while trying to pick up his phone, a truck pulls in front of him. Here, Song remembers that Woo Jin doesn't drive well, and she panics and rushes to Mr. Park. Mr. Park explains, "I got a call from him, and he told me he was leaving." We see that he's on a flight at this time. At the time Woo Jin called her, she was with Miss Kim, and her phone was at the office. Then, Song receives a message saying she can take her photo. She retrieves it from the studio, and the camera has already taken photos. There, she looks at the photos that contain only her own, meaning there's a photo of Song, and the last one is a photo of Woo Jin. After seeing it, Song becomes emotional and remembers the same thing that once Woo Jin told her, "You should be happy whether I'm with you or not." Now, the same scene is shown, where Woo Jin is driving and, as he goes to pick up his phone, a truck pulls in front of him. He dodges it and picks up Ben's phone. Ben tells him to hurry to the airport. There, we see Woo Jin, who calls Song. But at the same time, Song's grandmother calls her, and Song leaves the phone there. He then arrives at the airport. He is inside the airplane, where he tries to call Song. But at this time, she is still in front of his grandmother, preventing her from picking up his call. And now we come to the present. We see Song leaving Mr. Park's coffee shop. She receives a message, learning that her collaboration with a US animation company has been canceled. Her ongoing project has also been put on hold. In the next scene, we see all these people, deeply saddened by all this. They gather and sit at a place where they are talking about Woo Jin coming back as soon as possible, and Song listens to all this. People are saying that Woo Jin will solve everything because it is like that. Here Jeremy says that he'll surprise everyone with a surprise gift. Song listens to all this and feels sad. At the same time, we see Mr. Yoon looking at her. Jeremy is then near Song, talking to her about something. Then Song sees the photo and begins to miss Woo Jin. Jeremy says he'll be back soon. "You don't need to worry so much." Then Jeremy receives a call on his phone, and Song thinks it's her phone. Jeremy tells her it's his. We then see Song waiting for Woo Jin's message, and it's morning. We see Song's face plastered with Woo Jin's photo. Song isn't alone. There are other people suffering because of her, and we're shown them. So we see all these people in a meeting where we see Yang, who talks about one of her materials. She suggests recreating an old silk. But Mr. Yoon starts saying that we give everyone original things. That's what our customers want. If we give them duplicates or anything wrong, our name will be tarnished. This leads to an argument between Yang and Mr. Yoon, and Ms. Kim interrupts and ends the meeting. In the next scene, we see Yang, in front of everyone, asking if her proposal was wrong. Why does Mr. Yoon always think she's wrong? Everyone sees Mr. Yoon standing behind her. Yoon approaches her, hands her some documents, and says, "I'm the bridge that sees an artist's vision become reality." With this, he leaves. Yang retorts, "He takes care of my entire family except for me and is strict with me." Everyone is saying that these two are fighting too much these days, and this girl is making a heart. We then see Yang at the coffee shop. She then comes inside and the dog is sad, and Mr. Park is also sad. Here, we see Song sitting at another table instead of this one. Mr. Park also comes and sits next to her. They both feel very sad because Woo Jin was so nice, and his departure is making everyone sad. Then we see Se Jin, and her boyfriend is in front of her. Se Jin starts saying, "What was this bottle doing with my grandmother?" Hong says, "I found her grandmother in the park, so I gave her this bottle." She starts saying that when I asked my grandmother, she told me that this bottle belonged to her. And why are you seeing my grandmother so much these days? She starts asking what's going on between you and Han Sora these days. We are shown the same scene from the past where we see that she gets a call from Han Sora. Se Jin has brought chocolate for him. So she goes to his bag and sees the call, which also has a heart on the back. She starts asking, "Is my grandmother threatening you to talk to Han Sora?" He starts saying, "Nothing like that. Your grandmother hasn't said anything to me." Then he starts saying, "I went to meet Han Sora, and I told her that I was going to marry you, and I also told her to leave. I went to meet your grandmother so that I could talk to her on your behalf." But Se Jin starts saying, "I think your words are lies because I've been hearing a lot lately that I'm dating someone else. It's all gossip about you. Imagine how you'd feel if everyone said the same things about me and I didn't tell you anything." Hong then says, "No matter what the world says, I trust you immensely." Then he leaves. Meanwhile, we see Song, who learns that her project with the US has been cancelled. She's deeply saddened by this, and she's thinking about Woo Jin. She then goes home and nearly falls over the plastic bag where Yang has scattered all the things. Song becomes angry and tells her to clean it all up. Meanwhile, we see Se Jin, who goes into her room. Outside, we see the two of them arguing about something, and they're too late. Se Jin comes out, yells at them, and then leaves. Then we see the two of them start throwing popsicles at each other. In the next scene, we see Song emerge from her room, and everything is clear. We also see Yang, who also comes out. They both say, "Let's go for a walk." They bring Se Jin along with them to this place where the three of them are sharing everything with each other. Se Jin explains that this is the first time they've had a fight, and they both smile. Yang says, "Nothing's wrong with me either. There's nothing much I can say." Song also says, "Nothing's wrong with me either." And the three of them go back to Seoul. We then see Song, who starts acting tough in front of everyone, pretending she doesn't feel anything and is back to normal. We then see Se Jin standing there, where two girls are calling her boyfriend hot. At first, she tries to hide, then says, "He's still my boyfriend. We just had a fight." We then see Song, who is in front of Miss Kim, still pretending to be nice, meaning happy. After she leaves, we see Miss Kim take the key and open the locker, the contents of which are not shown to us. The next day, we see Song take a vacation, which leads to Yang visiting her grandmother. Her grandmother says she's not a little girl. She'll be fine wherever she is. After she leaves, Miss Kim receives a call. In the next scene, we see Mr. Yoon. While he's discussing a shipment with someone meaning to sell goods, he notices a coat that's missing a button. We then see Miss Kim, who's in the hospital. She receives a call from Mr. Yoon. He says, "The coats we were supposed to send earlier don't have buttons." He then adds, "The coats we were supposed to send should have buttons." This causes Miss Kim to run away. Mr. Park, who's also in the hospital, sees her running, and her cap falls off. After leaving the hospital, Kim arrives at the factory where everyone starts working and starts buttoning the coats, and they finish. They even shift all the coats in time. We see Miss Kim apologize to everyone, saying that she made a mistake and everyone had to start working again. Then, we see Mr. Yoon apologize to her, saying, "It was my mistake. You didn't need to apologize to him." I would have apologized to him. Miss Kim then says, I'm going to leave on foot. We see her start walking. A message arrives from Mr. Yoon who says, if you have anything to tell me, you can tell me. After reading it, she stops and looks at the dress, becoming a little emotional. At the same time, we see Young returning from work. Then, from behind, she sees Miss Kim from behind. As the car stops, she sees that Miss Kim is gone. Here, Song returns to her house and sees that they have both fallen asleep on the sofa. Then, Miss Kim invites her inside, and they both start talking. Miss Kim says, I know you've gotten very close to Woo Jin because I've seen your videos. Song explains, I was trapped all winter. I was inside. But when that guy came, he made me enjoy myself so much and taught me to be happy in his lab. Here, she takes a vacation because she received a note from Woo Jin and he wanted to visit these places. In the end, Song went to all these places alone, but in the end, she feels sad because she was alone. Now Miss Kim tells her, you can go and meet him because you'll regret it later. Song says, I regret it because I was angry with him. If I hadn't been angry with him in the beginning, I would have been happy today. Our relationship wasn't even that advanced for me to go see him. She says, from now on, I'll be happy. The next day, we see Song happily going to the office and bringing coffee for everyone. Just then, Miss Kim arrives and says that someone has to go somewhere. Song replies, I'll go there. Jeremy approaches Song and says, you won't go alone. I'll come with you. Then, we see Miss Kim approach Mr. Park, where Mr. Park gives her a cap and asks, what were you doing at the hospital? Kim says, she went to see a friend. Here she lies. The next day, we see Song, who has come to visit the place with Jeremy. Song pulls out her phone and sees a hotel booked here, which she and Woo Jin had booked for dinner, and they had booked it just for today. Jeremy says, I wanted to go here, and they both arrive. Just then, Jeremy gets a call from someone who says, I have to go somewhere, and he leaves. Song arrives at the gate. Then we see it start to snow. She was already sad, and she doesn't like the first snow anyway. We see her start to turn back. Then someone calls out to her, Miss Song, who turns out to be none other than Woo Jin. Song sees him and is utterly shocked. Then she becomes happy. She is so happy that she hugs him. We then see the two of them sitting at this place. Woo Jin asks, did you come here because of my message? We then see the same flight scene. Woo Jin had written that even if the project gets cancelled, he'll definitely come see you that day. Here, Woo Jin pulls out his phone and sees that his message hasn't been sent. He then reveals that they've agreed to his project, and we're shown a scene where Woo Jin worked incredibly hard on the project. Song tells him that everyone is missing him. This prompts Woo Jin to call Mr. Park. Mr. Park becomes emotional and overjoyed. Song then says that everyone will be so happy to see him, and she falls asleep while speaking. He looks at her book, which has a picture of Woo Jin and hers. He says, I missed you too. The scene shifts, and we see Young standing in front of a woman. The lady explains that Mr. Yoon himself came here yesterday and seemed to be talking about a fabric. He said he wanted bio-silk, and Young was talking about making clothes from it. That means she was talking about this very material. After thinking about it, Young calls him and stops him. She says, first, you rejected my idea and now you want to help me, and now you're even begging for the material. Why are you doing this? He replies, during meetings, I see reality. If anything happens in the meeting, it will all fall on the designer. Young replies, you don't need to do all this because I'll take care of it all and I'm fine. She smiles and says, I'm fine. You don't need to help me. Mr. Yoon begins to get a little emotional and says, you don't need to always say you're fine. When you're not feeling well, you don't have to tell everyone. You're fine, it's my job, and I'll handle it all. I know you always tell everyone that. You're fine, even though you're not. With this, Mr. Yoon leaves. Yang is wondering what just happened. Then she begins to remember a scene from her past. And we are shown this scene. Her parents' funeral is underway. We see her two sisters inside and Yang outside. She says, my family needs me, and I have to look good and be presentable. She says, I'm perfectly fine. Then we see Mr. Yoon arrive. She says, hey, you're the first one here. Mr. Yoon apologizes at this point. She remembers that his hands were bleeding. In the present, we see Yang, who becomes very emotional after remembering all this. On the other side, we see the two of them, where Song asks, why didn't you wake me up? Because I was asleep in the restaurant for an hour. She asks, you came here from the airport. Where's your luggage? He remembers that he forgot his luggage there. He then goes to pick it up and finds it there too. we see Song approach him. She arrives at the airport and calls him. She says, I don't want to regret it anymore. She says, just like you treated me well, I'll treat you well from now on. Then she looks at him. We see Woo Jin move toward her and say, I can't help myself anymore. After saying this, he quickly moves toward her and hugs her. Song asks, what are you doing? Woo Jin replies, I'm copying you because I like to copy. After a moment, she says, let go of me because I'm suffocating. We then see the two of them in a taxi where they are behaving strangely. We see Woo Jin holding her hand. Song then returns to her home, and Woo Jin drops her off at her place and leaves. Here, Song is with her hand on her heart, wondering what's going on. She then goes into her house, where Miss Kim is talking to someone. At the same time, Miss Kim learns that their collaboration has been renewed. Here, Song takes out the box she had thrown in the trash. Miss Kim sees it and smiles, as Song is also happy. Elsewhere, we see Woo Jin approach Mr. Park, who is overjoyed to see him. Then he goes to his room. Just then, Mr. Park's dog named Genius arrives. Woo Jin tells him, I want her to be happy, and I want her to be happy even without me. Elsewhere, we see Song open the box and take out all the items. The next day, we see her arrive at the coffee shop, overjoyed to see everyone there. We also see Ben arrive. We also see the child saying, I brought something for Genius. As soon as he presses it, a sound will come out, allowing him to communicate. The boy leaves, and Song takes his place. Mr. Park says, you're all my guests, so I'll treat you all to wine. Woo Jin goes to get glasses. Just then, the bottle falls, and we see Woo Jin recall another memory of his. In this one, someone drops a similar can, and it hits the wall. Song then asks Woo Jin, do you need me? He replies, no. In the next scene, we see all the people leaving. Song stops and starts cleaning with them. The two are talking in the middle. Then, we see Genius press the I love you button. The voice of I love you plays. Woo Jin calls out Song's name. Genius presses the I love you button every time. He's also supposed to say something to her. But before that happens, Genius presses the I love you button, making their situation even more awkward. We then see Mr. Park, who is watching them and smiling. He then says, I'm taking Genius for a walk. They then start cleaning up their things. Woo Jin's sleeves get dirty. Song grabs them, and they get a little too close. Then Woo Jin goes to change. We then see Song eating a biscuit. Then the scene shifts, and we see Hong walking around. He sees Se-jin, who is with her friend. We see a boy following Se-jin, who says, I've been watching you for a long time. I like you. Can you give me your number? Se-jin starts thinking, if he doesn't call me in a second, I'll give him my number. We see Hong return, and she gives him her number. After hearing this, we see Hong very sad and walks away. The man who took her number is very happy, but when he looks at his phone, he sees only zeros. We see Miss Kim in the park, where she meets Mr. Park. Then we see Miss Kim sitting at this place. Then she sees Hong, who is sad. He comes in front of Miss Kim and starts crying, saying that Se-jin and I had a fight. In the next scene, we see Miss Kim bringing him to this place and feeding him food. She says, you can't just leave him like this. Next, we see Song at home, where someone calls Woo Jin's phone. She brings it upstairs. There, she opens the gate, and Woo Jin is changing his t-shirt. She gives him his phone. Then we see Woo Jin approaching her. At this point, she thinks Woo Jin is about to kiss her, and she closes her eyes. We see the lights go off as she turns back. Woo Jin then laughs at her and asks, what were you thinking? He says, you have something on your lips. She says, I thought you were going to do that because you're a foreigner and things happen so quickly there. Song then gives this thing to him and says, I took some photos. We see him looking through them. He finds a photo of himself and a list of places he wanted to visit in the city. He says, we were going to go together. Then how did you go alone? Song questions him, saying, there was something written here, but why did you erase it? Woo Jin says, because there was something written here that I couldn't do, but now I can do it. The next day, we see all these people. Song is there at her parents' Memorial Day, and all these people are there too. But here, Jong becomes a little sad because she doesn't remember anything about her parents. They're saying that this was their favorite food, and they even give her a plate, saying that they loved it very much. We then see Yong, where she says, maybe I forgot my phone. This causes her to return to the grip, where she sees Mr. Yoon sitting there. As Yong approaches him, she realizes he's crying. Yang then looks at these flowers, and we're shown a scene from the past where Mr. Yoon gives them these same flowers. Here, he treats her like a daughter. They then take a family photo, and we see that they include Mr. Yoon in it. In the present, we see Yang thanking Mr. Yoon for taking care of her family and everyone. But Mr. Yoon just keeps saying sorry, and he keeps saying sorry again and again. Just then, Yang starts saying, "Maybe I dropped my phone here." Just then, Mr. Yoon calls her. Her phone is in her back pocket. Yang says, "You gave me money the other day. Come, I'll treat you to dinner today." As they leave, Yang is wearing heels, so he clears the path with his hands. He does this to prevent her from slipping and falling. After seeing this, we see Yang, very impressed, and walks right away. Later, we see Yang, who has eaten and drinks, come home, where Song is standing in front of her. She asks, "Have you ever told Woo Jin about my past? Because whenever he talks to me, I feel like he knows me." Here, we see Woo Jin writing on the same paper, "I'll keep her happy no matter what." Then, he takes out another book where he writes down his memories. Here, in his memory, he hears a voice, which belongs to a girl named Suji, who is wearing this bracelet. He says, "If I find this girl, maybe I'll find something." At the same time, we see this girl arrive in Korea. She's talking to someone and saying, "I'm coming straight to the hospital." The scene shifts and we see Hong, where he sees Se-jin, who is giving something to this man. After seeing her, he feels like they're talking, which causes him to run and fall. Then, he finds his friend. He's at this place with his friends, where he's both crying and singing. At night, we see them, where Se-jin drops a dish and a plate. It also breaks. Yang is angry with her, and Song is trying to tell her something. But then Se-jin starts getting angry at both of them. She says, "I don't even remember my parents. I was only 6 years old when they died. It feels like I don't even feel anything. I want to remember them and feel everything. I feel like I'm not even their daughter." After hearing this, Song hugs her, and Yang starts picking up the pieces. She notices that her hand is probably cut. She reaches out and holds Se-jin's hand, noticing that her finger is cut. We see her putting a bandage on her finger. She then begins talking to her about her parents, telling her everything about them. She says, "I'll keep talking to you like this now." And she drops her off at school. Meanwhile, we see Woo Jin, where Mr. Park tells him that a parcel arrived for him. He opens the parcel, which contains the same pen. This means Woo Jin ordered another pen to gift to Song. We see Mr. Park take the slip with the address and the source of the pen. In the next scene, we see them all in a meeting, overjoyed that their project has been restarted. Then Woo Jin and Song begin talking. Woo Jin says, "I need to meet someone." He has to go. In the next scene, we see him meet none other than Miss Kim. Kim starts talking about Song. She asks, "What do you know about her past? You know her parents are dead." He nods, and she also says, "You know her boyfriend died years ago." He nods again. Here, Miss Kim remembers a scene from the past where Song is confined to her room. After the accident, she's been confined to her room and hasn't been eating or drinking on time. Sometimes, Miss Kim even thought she might die. Because of this, Miss Kim brings her to the storage room and tells her, "You won't leave until you put this stuff away." She insists, "You won't come home." We then see Song slowly put things away, and as she slowly starts putting things away, she recovers and begins to focus on her work. We then see a scene where she's smiling, and Miss Kim is overjoyed to see her. Now, at present, Miss Kim thanks Woo Jin, saying she's so happy because of him and that she's living a wonderful life. She says, "You have to be with her." She says, "I'll go to France because I'll be there." Woo Jin then begins to say, "I don't think I'm right for her." The scene shifts, and we see Hong at the doctor's to have his leg examined. Se-jin arrives, and we see him leave. Se-jin asks the doctor why he's there. The doctor refuses to tell her anything. Outside, we see Hong wondering if she's hurt. After meeting Kim, we see Woo Jin meet Song, who brought him there. There's a pottery exhibition going on, which belongs to her grandmother. Her grandmother comes and takes Song in, and they're both overjoyed. They go inside. Her grandmother shows Song the pot. She says, "It was completely broken, but we put each piece together to make a new 8-piece pot." Two ladies come in, and she starts talking, and Woo Jin joins them. Meanwhile, we see Mr. Yoon in the office, where he discovers that Yang isn't there and calls her. Then, they end up at this bar, where he discovers that she's been drinking there for a long time. Yang starts saying, "What face will I show my sister?" I hurt her so much. We see her fall asleep on his shoulder. Mr. Yoon brings her to his car and is driving away. He notices that she's cold, so he takes off his coat and puts it on her. He also wipes away her tears. Just then, Young wakes up and they both start behaving strangely. Young remembers the scene and asks Mr. Yoon, "Tell me, were you with my grandmother that day?" She says, "Maybe I saw her crying that day." Mr. Yoon apologizes and tells her to let it be. The scene cuts to Miss Kim, where she has forgotten everything again and walks out of the house. We also see the two of them saying goodbye to Woo Jin's grandmother and leaving. She says, "First, I'll give her flowers. Then we'll both leave." She takes the flowers and goes to meet her grandmother, meaning Woo Jin's grandmother. Then, they see that Woo Jin's father is also there. As soon as Woo Jin sees his father, he becomes angry. They try to talk to him. He starts saying, "What do you mean me?" Here, we are shown the same scene where he is taking his passport and leaving. But then his father stops him. He says he's leaving. He replies, "You studied so much. What will happen to that?" Woo Jin gets angry and says, "I'm completely burned out. I can't even hear, and you're still so focused on studying. I understand why my mother left you. From today on, consider that I too am dead to you." Now, we come to the present where he is angry at his father that after today, "Don't ever let me see you again." We see his father trying to stop him, and Woo Jin pushes him, and the glass shatters. We then see Song get a mark on her eye, meaning she gets hurt. Woo Jin becomes very angry, and we are shown a scene from the past, indicating he had a similar injury. He is so angry that he grabs his father, but his grandmother tells him to leave. He tells his grandmother to take care of Song. We then see his grandmother taking care of Song. She says, "I can only fix pottery. I can't fix a relationship." She explains that a lot has happened in his life. She then receives a call. Song picks up the paper, where she learns that Woo Jin's father is a science teacher. She then remembers that Woo Jin talks a lot about science. He remembers many people saying that he might have studied engineering. He also finds this watch. Meanwhile, we see Mr. Park in the kitchen, where he finds this pen. Mr. Park remembers that Song had a similar pen and that she had also mentioned that she had lost it. He's wondering where Woo Jin got this pen when Song arrives. She asks if Woo Jin has come here. He replies that it hasn't come yet and he's hiding the pen. We see Song waiting for him and we see Woo Jin come. Then they both come inside. Song shows him this photo of the pottery. It seems she's stitched the broken pieces together with this line. She says, "You're the one line in my life." She says, "You've held my life together in the same way." But she also says, "You should give your father a chance. I also gave you a chance." Here, she gives him this card. She says that your father will be going to these places. You can meet him. Here, she also gives him this watch. She says that you gave it to him, right? He says that I gave it to him on Father's Day. She says that this watch is broken, but he still wears it. This means that he loves you and you should give him a chance. Then we see Song hugging him. On the other side, we see Mr. Park in the park, wondering where Woo Jin got this pen. Many things are going through his mind, and he also finds the address that the package came from, which is Boston. Then we see the two of them. But Woo Jin starts getting emotional. He kisses Song and says, "I can't hold back my feelings anymore. I won't let the time we're spending together go to waste." Song says if that's the case, "You don't need to say you're greedy. If you say something like that, no one will be worse off than me." Woo Jin says, "Okay, I'll take care of it." Then they are walking together, and here they are, holding each other's hands. She says you should call your grandmother and ask how she's doing, because you know what happened last time. She also says you should forget your past, meet your father, and move on. But he thinks for a moment. Just then we see Genius standing there barking. Mr. Park is with him. Seeing him, Song lets go of her hand, but Woo Jin grabs her hand again. Mr. Park is reminded of the scene where Song lost her boyfriend. Then, Woo Jin enters her life. Here Woo Jin tells Mr. Park that he will always keep Song happy. Mr. Park walks over to them and hugs them. Then, we see Woo Jin come to drop Song off at her home. He again defends her and says, "It's like a dream. I still can't believe it." Then we see Woo Jin, who returns to where Mr. Park is picking up things, but his chest starts hurting again. Woo Jin comes and picks up the things and puts them away. He says, "You haven't taken your medicine on time again. I told you to take your tablet on time. You treat me like a son, so you have to listen to me and come with me to your checkup." Mr. Park agrees and says, "You also treat me like a father, so you can tell me anything. If you're going through something, You can tell me. Then he reveals that he likes Song, to which Mr. Park replies, that's a good thing. You can make her happy, and you don't need any reason to be happy, as long as you're honest with her. We then see Song in her room, where she's missing her pen. We are shown a scene from the past where she first receives this pen and draws the sketch. At the same time, we see Woo Jin holding the second pen. We flash back to Song asking him where he got the idea to give her this pen. He says, you used to be lonely like me, so I want you to have something that makes you feel lonely. Song then says, Woo Jin understands me so much. We then cut to the scene where we see Woo Jin in the US. This is the scene where his animation stopped. Here, he sees this pen, after which he gets it repaired from the same uncle. Then coming back to the present, we see Song saying to herself that I should forget my past, after which she inserts a new pen inside it. At the time, we see Miss Kim at home, who arrives, and Young starts talking to her, asking, where have you been, Miss Kim? She lies to her, saying she just came from a meeting and that she always has something on her head. Young notices that she left wearing one of her different slippers. She's then marking the calendar, and there's a date-marked examination. The next day, Young goes to the office, where the elevator is about to close, but she opens it and Mr. Yoon is in it. She notices that Mr. Yoon's hair isn't quite right. It's messy like that. She wonders if it's just a case of his hair being like that. She then enters the office, where everyone is talking about a woman with Mr. Yoon, suggesting he might be dating her. She gets angry and starts throwing files around. Then a girl says, oh, she has a husband who's standing off to the side. Hearing this, Young becomes happy and starts whistling. But the girl starts saying that whoever she likes must treat her well. Then Young starts remembering that night scene with Mr. Yoon. Then she comes to all these people and says, what if a guy cleans the floor for you with his own hands? What does it mean? Jeremy says, then he loves you. Then she asks, tell me, if someone is crying and he wipes your tears, what does it mean? But Jeremy makes a heart again and says, he likes you again. Hearing this, she thinks, so he loves me. Then Jeremy says if you're noticing his every move, it means you like him too. Young says, I'm not talking about myself here, but about my friend. Just then, Mr. Yoon arrives and calls Young's name, causing her to stand still. They begin discussing some material, but Young hurriedly pulls out her phone, saying she's busy, and leaves. We then see Woo Jin, where Song comes to meet him, accompanied by his grandmother. Song then shows the plate to Woo Jin's grandmother and asks her to assemble it, to which she agrees. Here, she meets Mr. Park for the first time, who says, Woo Jin is like my son. Woo Jin then goes to show his grandmother his room, where she sees the watch and becomes emotional. As she leaves, Woo Jin tells his grandmother that he will return the watch to his father. The scene shifts, and we see Se-jin and Hong face each other, telling each other, you're happy in your life. That's exactly what they say to each other. They pretend to be unconcerned, but as soon as they move away from each other, they both become sad. Then, we see Woo Jin arriving at his father's office, where his father isn't there. But there's this guy there who says he might have just gone to a meeting. You should sit down until then, he says. But Woo Jin also tells him that he's a family member. Now, day turns into night as he sits there. He then considers leaving. He puts down his watch. Then he sees a frame and finds a painting he made. His father took this painting from him as a child. Then he sees this painting. That is, he sees the sketch. It's the same sketch that his father tore, but he repaired it and kept it. After seeing it, we see Woo Jin become emotional and start walking away. Then that guy stops him and says, if I'm not mistaken, you're his son. It seems I've heard a lot of praise of you from the professor. He said that his son is an animator in the US. Whenever an animation movie comes on, he always goes to the theater and watches it. They also take all the employees with them. After this, he comes to the street and is walking by when Song comes there. Woo Jin starts saying that if you keep coming to meet me like this, my obesity will increase. But Song hugs him and says that if doing this is increasing your obesity, then I will definitely do it. We see Woo Jin's father coming there, showing him the watch and thanking him. Here, Woo Jin remembers the man who said that his father had given up his search because he had gone to America while he was in the hospital. Here, we see the doctor telling his father that he will probably never come out of the coma. In the present, Woo Jin is telling his father to repay him the next time they meet. Here, he has repaired his father's watch, which makes his father very happy, and he leaves. Later, Song arrives at her home, and Woo Jin is outside. Song tells him, "You did a great job. You repaired your father's watch and gave it to him. The watch will become even more precious to him." Woo Jin asks her, "Can you come out?" Next, we see the two of them sitting at this place. Woo Jin gives her the pen and lies, saying, "When I ran away that day, this pen came with me and I found it in my luggage." But she says, "I don't need it anymore. I already chose a pen and I have more." We see Woo Jin, who starts drawing something on the pen. Here, he draws the same clouds on the pen. He tells the colored clouds that this is now a lucky charm for you, meaning this is your lucky pen from today. You will never be shaded by looking at it again. Remember, I gave this pen to you. Song takes the pen. Just then, she receives a call. Someone tells her that she's about to receive the Best Designer Award. Hearing about the fashion award, Song becomes overjoyed and says, "This is really lucky for me." Meanwhile, Miss Kim arrives at Mr. Park's, where she's not feeling well. Mr. Park makes coffee for her, but he finds that Miss Kim is asleep. He puts a blanket over her and notices that Miss Kim has injured her hand. The scene shifts and we see Se-jin. She's shopping and smelling detergent. A woman calls her name. Hearing this, Se-jin begins to think of her mother. She calls her mother in her mind. The woman approaches her and says, "Finally, I've met you." She reveals that she's Hong's mother and then hugs Se-jin. We see Se-jin, who smells them, and it begins to resemble her mother, and she becomes very emotional. Hong's mother tells her to come and have dinner at home. She brings her to her house. Hong's father is also there, and upon seeing her, he says, "You're the superstar in our house." Se-jin then goes to Hong's room, where she sees her photos hung everywhere. There are also some notes written on them which say, "I have to do everything for Se-jin. I have to study for her and be the best person for her." Hong's mother says that it's because of her that he was able to score such good marks in English. We're shown a scene from the past where she herself had told him to get good marks in English. Afterwards, Se-jin looks at the photo, and we are shown scenes from the past where Hong always stood by her, and even as she grew up, he is there for her and helps her. Then the scene shifts and we see Kim, where Mr. Park sends her an old photo, which makes her very happy. Here, she says, "Let's go to the place where we always used to eat." At the office, we see Song leaving for her award. Here, Young looks at Mr. Yoon. He is walking towards her. Seeing him, she starts going crazy. She starts saying to herself that he also loves me, and I also love him. She starts saying that does he look so cool while walking, and why am I smiling so much, and why am I sweating so much? Mr. Yoon comes and asks, "Are you free this evening?" As soon as she hears this, she starts thinking that is he taking me on a date. He then asks, "Will you come with me today to discuss the material if you're free?" Here, Yang is lost in her thoughts, thinking, "We're going to go together." She replies, "Yes, I'm absolutely free to go with you." Then, she regains her composure, where Mr. Yoon says, "Okay, when you're free, I'll take you." Then the scene turns back to Se-jin, where Hong arrives. Now seeing her, Hong says, "I've missed you so much that I can barely see you these days." He starts crying, to which Se-jin calls him crazy. Hong, hearing this, says, "I've really gone crazy now because I've missed you so much that I can even hear your voice." Se-jin comes over and touches him. Then, they clear up their misunderstanding, and they start crying and hug each other. Meanwhile, Song receives the Fashion Designer Award. However, two people receive the award at the same time. The second award goes to none other than Eun Chai, her ex's older sister. We are shown a flashback scene where we see that she was her manager at the time. She is busy and tells Song that it's her brother's birthday, so she should bring a cake to this place. Song does just that. This means she meets Chan for the first time, meaning her ex. She celebrates his birthday with him there. The next day, we see Eun Chai come to give her this gift and say that her brother asked her to give it to her. He gives her a soft toy and also sends her some medicine. This causes Song to like him. We even see him confess to her at one point, claiming he likes her. And as soon as he arrives abroad, he starts ignoring her. We see a scene where he sends her a pen. Then we see her asking why he sent her the pen. Then we see a scene where she goes to meet him, but he's killed before she can. Now, at present, after the ceremony, they're sitting together. Eun Chai says, "It's been years since we met." Just then, Mr. Park brings Woo Jin to the hospital where Woo Jin was treated. He says, "I was treated in this hospital too." Afterward, they both enter the elevator. A number of people enter the elevator at the same time. Woo Jin hears a sound and we see Suji. At that moment, Woojin hears the sound of her bracelet. But then the elevator opens, Suji leaves, and he chases after her. Suji arrives at a place where she's introducing herself to everyone, revealing her name as Cha Suji. She's told she's from Boston Hospital. At the hospital, she sits down where the doctor tells her that wearing accessories isn't allowed there, so she removes her bracelet. In the next scene, we see Woojin meet Mr. Park, who has returned from treatment. They both leave, and Woojin puts on the hood. Then, we see Suji looking at Woojin. She remembers Woojin. But then, a doctor comes to her, saying that the meeting is about to start, so she goes with him. The scene shifts and we see Song. Here, Eun Chai explains that Chan had injured his hand. He was injured so badly at one point that he even had stitches on his hand. Song starts saying that he never told me about this, and I don't know about it. In the scene, we see Mr. Park and Miss Kim together, enjoying themselves. Then we see Young with Mr. Yoon both meet this man, where he tells her about the fabric. He says, "I'll give you the number of a company where you can get that bio fabric. That company has just started." After hearing this, she becomes very happy. The man, Mr. Choi, begins to explain that Mr. Yoon was his senior and I was his junior. He asks Young, "If you're free, can't you go out for a drink with me?" He then asks Mr. Yoon for permission, to which he replies, "Who am I to say no?" and walks out. Young, wondering whether he has feelings for her, approaches him. She asks Mr. Yoon if she should go with him, to which he replies, "It's your business. You have to say yes or no." From there, she calls Mr. Choi in front of Mr. Yoon and says, "We're going out for a drink right now." Then Mr. Yoon leaves. Then, the scene shifts to Sejin, where Hong's entire family has come to see her off. Young asks Hong's mother, "Can you give me another hug?" Her mother hugs her. We see them all hug each other. Then we see Song, a little sad because she realizes her ex never told her he was injured and had surgery. She walks out of the gate. Just then Woojin appears, bringing flowers for her. He then takes her to a place where he takes photos with her, and she's happy. He then takes her to a place where the two couples are standing and asks if they'll take their photo. Woojin takes their pictures. Then the couple says, "We'll take your photo too." And they both take Woojin and Song's photo. Now we see Sejin with Hong, where she tells Hong that, "When I hugged your mom, I felt like I had hugged my own mother. Now, I will definitely marry you because I'll get my parents back." Hong is overjoyed after hearing this. We see Sejin stand up. As soon as Hong stands up, he collapses and says, "I can't stand on my feet." As he takes off his shoes, he notices that his foot is very swollen. Meanwhile, Young is free. She then goes to Mr. Yoon, who isn't in the office. A delivery parcel arrives for Mr. Yoon. Young takes the parcel and goes to Mr. Yoon's room, meaning his apartment. We see Mr. Yoon open the gate. As soon as he does, he falls out. Young is at a loss as to what's going on, as he's probably sick. Then we see Kim, who is overjoyed. Seeing this, Mr. Park asks, "What's wrong with you? You're behaving so strangely. So you can tell me if anything happened to you." Here, Song is at her home. Then, someone calls her, and the joy on her face is gone. Here, Woojin is overjoyed to see these photos. Just then, Song sends him a message, telling him to come outside. Woojin comes out and asks what's wrong. Song takes out 2 pens. This means she's found the old pen. Just then, Woojin sees the pens, and his ears start hurting again. Song asks him how they're the same, and the name on them is the same. How is that possible? Woojin says, "I've bought this pen before." He says, "I bought it when I lived in the United States. When I first saw it with you, I was shocked too." She says, "So, that means you bought it for me when you returned from the US. Maybe that's why you didn't tell me, because I would have been very confused. I thought it was a very special pen, made just for me. It seems like it might be common in the US. If you bought it for me, then it's special to me too." But Woojin doesn't say anything because he knows everything. He just stands there silently. Here, we see Miss Kim and Mr. Park. Miss Kim makes another excuse saying, "I'm going to France from here. That's why I'm enjoying myself here." Song then returns home, where she draws with both pens, but the ink in one runs out. She packs it up and puts it in a box. She begins to sketch with the new pen. Elsewhere, we see Woojin still thinking about the same thing. But he's reminded that the more you gain from cheating, the more you lose in the end. He hears a sound, which makes him come out. Here, he hears so much noise that his ears start hurting again. On the other side, we see Mr. Yoon, who regains consciousness and sees Yang cooking something for him. He gets up and says, "It's late. You should go home." Yang says, "I'll go. Let me cook something for you first." She then checks his temperature. Mr. Yoon is checking his phone. The guy who went out drinking with her says, "She was just talking about you. Maybe she likes you." Then, Yang brings food for Mr. Yoon. She seems to say, "I won't leave until you eat." Then she says, "Let me just tell you straight up." She says, "I like you." Mr. Yoon says, "Maybe you've misunderstood." He says, "I don't think about you at all. I don't consider you anything more than my colleague." But she says, "Yes," and starts saying, "From today on, you'll have to agree because that's how you'll have to think about me." She says, "You should eat your dinner. I'm leaving." But upon returning, she's overjoyed because she told the truth and confessed. We then see Mr. Yoon lift the frame, meaning the entire family frame. Then, we're shown a scene in the hospital where we see Se-jin, who learns that Hong's leg is completely fine and he'll be fine in a week. Hong himself tells her all this. He says, "Your exams are coming up. You should go home and study. Don't come near me until the exams are over." Hong's parents say they'll take care of Hong. Next at the office, Miss Kim says, "I'm not free for a week," and postpones all the work. There are some tasks that she hands over to Song. Song says, "I probably won't be able to do this." Miss Kim still gives her all the tasks. Then we see Mr. Yoon calling everyone and telling them that their meeting is next week. Yang arrives and they both get into an elevator. Yang tells Mr. Yoon everything about herself, including what she likes and dislikes. "It seems you'll have to memorize all this, since we haven't known anything about each other since childhood. So, I'm telling you all about myself." Meanwhile, we see Song arriving at a coffee shop. There, she has a bun with Woo Jin. But he is working with Ben, which leads Song to sit down. As soon as they've done, Ben starts to leave. At this point, Song is sketching and looking at the pen. Mr. Park is also there, looking at the pen, causing him to spill his coffee. She asks, "Were you looking at this pen?" "Woo Jin gifted it to me." Mr. Park says, "It's good you liked it." Woo Jin is standing there watching. Sad music starts playing, prompting Mr. Park to say, "I'll change it." We then see Se-jin chatting with Hong. Then we see a night scene where we see Woo Jin looking at photos of the Milky Way on his laptop. He tries to write about it, but he can't quite understand it. He decides to go and see the Milky Way himself. Just then, Song calls him and asks, "Are you still awake?" He says, "I'm going out for a walk." Song replies, "I'm taking my car." They both leave together. They sit there, but the moon hasn't risen yet, so they can't see clearly. Woo Jin apologizes because it's cold here, and that's why Song has come. But then, they see the Milky Way clearly, which makes them very happy. Woo Jin draws it. She says, "It feels like I'm in space." Woo Jin looks at her and says, "It's like a dream for me." Then, they kiss. Then Song starts talking to him. But after a while, we see that Woo Jin can't hear anything. Song asks, "What's wrong with you?" Woo Jin replies, "Nothing happened to me." She says, "Because of you, I'm able to see all this, and I'll never forget this moment." She then starts talking about the summer. Then she says, "Let it go. You're going to leave anyway." We then see Woo Jin arriving at the house. He meets Mr. Park, who has come to get a drink of water. Woo Jin tells Mr. Park, "I want to be with her." He means, "I want to be with her through spring, summer, and winter. I want to be with her, but I don't know how to do it." He then goes to his room. The next morning, we see Song sitting with Yang. Yang says, "Yesterday you were with Woo Jin, right?" Then Se-jin comes in. The two of them have cooked food for Se-jin, who has an exam today. Here, Se-jin informs them that Hong has injured his leg and is in the hospital. Miss Kim arrives from outside and overhears all this. She says, "I'll leave some food for you to give to him." Miss Kim brings Southeast Jin to the place where she begins braiding his hair. Then, they all wish Se-jin the best of luck. Before the exams start, we see Se-jin arriving at the hospital. She overhears a nurse telling him that he's having surgery today. After hearing this, Se-jin comes inside, where the nurse leaves. Se-jin asks, "Why did you lie to me?" Hong replies, "I didn't want you to have a bad exam because of me." He then tells her, "You have to do your exam well," and he says, "I'll get better after my surgery." Then, she takes her exam, and he leaves for his own surgery. Then, Yang comes into the office, where Mr. Yoon is standing in front of her. Just then, Mr. Yoon receives a call from Mr. Choi. Mr. Yoon says he's suggesting we go with him to the factory to look at the fabric. Yang replies, yes, why not? This is a great idea. But Mr. Yoon begins to tell Mr. Choi that they'll both go together, and he tells her that there's nothing between me and Yang. Nothing like that is going to happen between us. So, you don't need to think too much. Hearing this, Yang becomes a little sad. Mr. Yoon tells her that she doesn't need to waste her energy on him. Meanwhile, Woo Jin, who is meeting with his doctor, tells him everything. He feels that now he's convinced her that he likes her, but there are still some things he hasn't told her. He thinks he'll fill in any gaps in his memories first, and then tell her everything. To learn more about his memory, he comes to the hospital and starts looking for Suji. Just then, Suji appears before him. We see them both at this place, where he says, I want to know about the explosion that happened 7 years ago. I don't remember anything from that time because I lost my memories in the blast. But she says, I wasn't at your college. I was at a nearby college, and I used to visit occasionally. She continues, explaining that she used to visit Yuk-chan, who is Woo Jin's friend. He says, whenever I think of my memories, I always hear the sound of a bracelet that you probably used to wear. She tries to hide her hand. Woo Jin then gives her the book and says, whenever I remember any memories, I draw in it. After watching, we see scenes from the past, where they all talk to each other. Now, in the present, she says, I can't tell you anything. She's about to leave. But Woo Jin stops her and she says, don't dig up old things again. I'm still hurt from that, and you're doing the same thing again. It's like I don't know anything, and don't come near me again. She then goes to her cabin, and we're shown a scene from the past. Here, we see Suji entering the lab, where Yuk-chan tells Woo Jin, you're telling me that you used to talk to her when I wasn't here, and you've been talking to her all this time. Meanwhile, we see Song drawing it and showing the genius how it looks. She sees Woo Jin standing outside, so she goes to him, who looks a little sad. Woo Jin hugs her and says, I was just missing you. They come inside and sit down in this place. She hides the sketch she made there. Just then, Mr. Park arrives with blankets, which he takes. At the same time, we see Song, who sees someone messaging Woo Jin's phone. It's none other than his father, wishing him a happy birthday. Song realizes it's Woo Jin's birthday today and decides to celebrate it. She comes out and says, you have to dress up and come meet me this evening. Then, Woo Jin sees on his phone that his father has wished him a happy birthday, and he understands what Song wants to do. We then see Miss Kim getting ready to go to her town. In the next scene, we see the two arrive at their town with Mr. Park. Miss Kim sees that another house has been built in place of her house, but the plant her father planted is still there. They then come to the tree where they took the photo and take another photo, but they're both having a good time, and we see Mr. Park go to get something for her. As soon as he returns, everything is back, even Miss Kim's phone. But Miss Kim isn't there. The scene shifts, and we see Se-jin, where she's with Hong. She says, I've done a lot of research on bones, and she gives him a slap, telling him to stick to it. You'll get better soon. Just then, Hong's friend arrives, hugs him, and sits down. While the three are talking, Hong gets a call on his phone. As he talks, Hong asks if they can both go out. Then, Hong speaks and learns that Miss Kim is lost, and the call was made using the necklace she wears. Hong then calls Miss Kim, but Mr. Park picks up the call and tells him everything. Then, Hong also gives Miss Kim's location, leading Mr. Park to her. Kim is sitting next to him at the time, but she doesn't remember anything. Miss Kim says, I'm tired, and that she's lost her memory at this point. Mr. Park becomes deeply saddened by this. We then see the two of them getting ready. The scene shifts, and we see Young working in the office, and she's late. Just then, her pen drops. She realizes in time that all the stuff is about to fall on her. But Mr. Yoon arrives and saves her. Mr. Yoon is leaving, and Yang stands in front of him and asks, can I talk to you? The scene shifts, and we see Woo Jin, who is walking by the radio. And then she hears the sound again. A man next to him is lighting a lighter, and it's his sound. We then see a scene from the past, where we learn that a similar lighter was on Chan, Song's ex. We then return to the present, where Woo Jin is bleeding from her nose. The scene shifts and we see Yang, where she is with Mr. Yoon at this place. She starts saying, when you do all these things for me, like cleaning up the garbage with your hands, everything you've done for me today keeps running through my mind. So, please clear it all up for me. But Mr. Yoon starts saying, your family has done so much for me. If anyone else were there, I would have done the same thing. You don't need to think so much. Yang replies, don't you see me as a woman? She seems to understand that I won't think too much about it either, and she gets up and says, at least we can shake hands. They both do. We see Mr. Yoon still sitting in the car outside. Just then, it starts raining, and he wonders if she has an umbrella, and he goes to her. But he sees that she's crying. We flash back to the past, where we see Mr. Yoon with a high fever. This day is the day Song's parents died. Mr. Yoon develops a fever, preventing him from driving. Then, he receives a message. Mr. Song's parents have died. Hearing this, he rushes to the funeral home. He finds Yang, who is telling herself, I don't want to cry. I have to be strong. Seeing this, Mr. Yoon begins to say, this is all my fault. I should have gone to the drape. He apologizes, and we return to the present. He's still saying sorry to her, meaning he's standing outside. The scene shifts again, and we see Song texting Woojin. Then she receives a call. In this scene, we see her in the hospital with Woojin on the bed. Woojin regains consciousness, and he says, I'm perfectly fine. She says, I don't think so because I heard the doctor. Here, Song learns a few minor details about a brain problem. It was because of this that Woojin had lost her hearing. We then see Woojin tell Song, I won't leave you. I'll stay here with you. A nurse arrives and asks, can I check you? Causing Song to leave. On the ramp, Song is checking her phone for information about Woojin's illness. She bumps into Suji. As they both begin picking up things, Suji picks up the pen. Reading its name, she remembers a past scene where she saw a photo of Song on Chan's phone. She starts to leave, but then she stops. Song stops her and tells her to take her bracelet. She turns back and sees Woojin. As soon as Woojin sees them, he pauses, and this is where the episode ends.